Chapter 339. Qin Wushuang listened silently. He had already guessed that this monkey clan should be a branch of the Xianyuan Mound. Only, they were exiled to this dispersed praying mountain. However, he did not want to get involved with the internal affairs of the monkey clan. Although he felt happy for his friend, Bao Bao, he was more concerned about the spiritual infant fruits. After that battle, regardless of Bao Bao or the Silver Monkey King, they all approved of Qin Wushuang as a human. And the monkey clan did not reject humans as strongly as the barbarian tribe. Overall, they were rather tolerant and friendly to humans. Or else, the monkey clan would have started a massacre when human adventurers often wandered to the Monkey King Mountain. Silver Monkey King. Let's return to the stone forest cave first. This time, the barbarian tribe had wreaked havoc and the monkey clan had suffered a great loss. Bao Bao said with a heavy tone. The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. Fortunately, I had predicted something was wrong and had already dismissed all the Monkey Clan disciples. Or else, the casualties would have been even greater. Although the barbarian tribe did not send out many people, they were all elite warriors used to battle. Okay, for this grudge, we will settle it with the barbarian tribe in the future. When they returned to the stone forest cave, the Silver Monkey King sent out the order to gather all the hidden Monkey Clan disciples. After little calculation, this time, the Monkey Clan had lost 300 or 400 disciples, and they were all warriors of the Monkey Clan. Although they were not the best, they were the main force. Of course, the barbarian tribe had also suffered a great loss. The number of casualties was about the same for both sides. After cleaning up the battlefield and reorganizing, the holy place of the Monkey Clan at the Phoenix Return Mountain had returned to its original state. When facing a human friend like Qin Wushuang, of course, the hospitable Monkey Clan brought out the best monkey wine to entertain their guest. Qin Wushuang felt deeply honored to be accompanied by both the Gold Monkey King and the Silver Monkey King. This was not a treatment that ordinary humans could enjoy. When the Silver Monkey King asked about Qin Wushuang's background, Qin Wushuang felt that since he had experienced a life and death battle with the Monkey Clan, of course, he must hide it. Immediately, he said, Wushuang came from the great Luo Empire in the eastern part of the human countries and is a disciple of the Stargaze Palace. Because his teacher was attacked by the Nine Palace faction, his dantian had been damaged. He had come to the dispersed praying mountain to search for the spiritual infant fruits. Unexpectedly, when we arrived at the Monkey King Mountain, hearing this, the Silver Monkey King was also surprised. I didn't think that there would be such a righteous person in the human countries. I have underestimated the human countries. Wushuang, you have come to the right place at our Monkey King Mountain. Bao Bao chuckled. Silver Monkey King, I already told him that he came to the right place. However, I also told him that if he wanted to obtain the spiritual infant fruits, he would have to defeat the king of our monkey clan. The Silver Monkey King nodded. Originally, it was not easy to obtain something like the spiritual infant fruit. Although our Monkey King Mountain doesn't forbid adventurers, we only allow them to pick some ordinary materials and spiritual items. Generally, we aren't allowed to touch things that are more than 100 years old. As for the spiritual infant fruit, it was something that only appeared once every few hundred years. In the Monkey King Mountain, it could be considered a first-rate treasure. Qin Wushuang sighed. If the spiritual infant fruit is first-rate, then the holy ivory flower should be first-rate, right? The Silver Monkey King laughed. To be more precise, the holy ivory flower has no ranking. Because this thing was born from the heavens and the earth, it was too coincidental. As for the spiritual infant fruit, our Monkey King Mountain has always had it. Initially, the most precious thing in the Monkey King Mountain was a 1,000-year treasure. However, the holy ivory flower that only appears once every 10,000 years was an accident, an absolute accident. Of course, only a Gold Monkey King like Bao Bao could truly bring out the best in each other and not waste it. Bao Bao laughed mischievously. Yet, he did not flatter himself as he said, Silver Monkey King, since Big Brother Wushuang has helped us so much, we should give him the spiritual infant fruit, right? The Silver Monkey King nodded. Of course, not only should we give it to him, even if he wants something more precious, the Monkey Clan should not decline. The Monkey Clan has always made a clear distinction between gratitude and grudges. The humans say that we should repay the kindness of a drop of water with a gushing spring. The Monkey Clan also believes in this belief. Bao Bao said to Qin Wushuang with joy, "Human, I didn't go back on my words, right?" Qin Wushuang was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. "Thank you so much." When he said here, Qin Wushuang's voice was choked with emotion. He was truly overjoyed. When he had entered the dispersed praying mountain, he had been on tenterhooks. He felt that since that spiritual infant fruit was so rare, wouldn't the hope be slim? Unexpectedly, not only did this Monkey King mountain have it, it had also fallen into the hands of Qin Wushuang. And now, it had only been less than 2 months since he had entered the dispersed praying mountain. Roughly, from the beginning to the end, it had only been half a year since he had left the Stargaze Palace. It was still far from the 3 years promised by the head palace master and his teacher. Seeing Qin Wushuang's joy, the Silver Monkey King also appreciated him as he praised, "Wushuang, a young man like you is rare. You value friendship and righteousness. For the safety of others, you did not hesitate to travel to a dangerous place like the dispersed praying mountain. If all humans had such a righteous spirit like you, the situation of the humans in the Tianxian land would not be so difficult, haha." Qin Wushuang said, "It's not others, it's my teacher. Regardless of the teacher or the disciple, they are all others." The Silver Monkey King laughed. "I have lived for more than 1,000 years and have seen too many heartless humans. I have seen too many people who bullied and schemed against each other. Today, they are friends, and tomorrow, they will be enemies. Today, they are teacher and disciple, and tomorrow, they will be strangers." Qin Wushuang remained silent. Since the Silver Monkey King had lived for such a long time, for sure, he had seen a lot. As the king of a clan, he would not slander humans for no reason, connecting it to Qin Wushuang's experience in the secular world. Indeed, as the Silver Monkey King had said, there were too many schemes and schemes. "Okay, Wushuang, let's go pick the spiritual infant fruits. Bao Bao, do you want to come?" Now, each time the Silver Monkey King made a decision, he would ask for Bao Bao's opinion. Bao Bao jumped up from the stone chair and shouted, "How can I be left out?" The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Wushuang, please." Under the lead of the 2 Monkey Kings, one old and one young, Qin Wushuang arrived at a cliff on the left side of the Phoenix Return Mountain. The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Bao Bao, stay here with Wushuang for a while. I will go pick the spiritual infant fruits." Bao Bao said impatiently, I will go, I must personally thank Big Brother Wushuang." As he spoke, Bao Bao twisted his body and rushed to the edge of the cliff. Like lightning, he jumped down. In a moment, with a flash of golden light, Bao Bao's body had already jumped up. Qin Wushuang did not know how it did it. When it held it with both of its hands, a crystal-clear fruit appeared as if it was carved from white jade. The shape of this fruit was like the silhouette of a baby. At first glance, a strange thought emerged in Qin Wushuang's mind. Wasn't this a ginseng fruit? He remembered that in the legends from his previous world, the ginseng fruit had this shape. Could this spiritual infant fruit be the ginseng fruit from the legends? However, the effect of this spiritual infant fruit was not as miraculous as the ginseng fruit from the legends. After eating one bite, one would become immortal and shine with the sun and moon. Bao Bao said with a smile, "Big Brother Wushuang, this spiritual infant fruit is 100% ripe. Take it." Just when Qin Wushuang was about to take it, the Silver Monkey King said, "Hold on." The Silver Monkey King walked over and took out a green jade bottle. He put that spiritual infant fruit inside. The spiritual infant fruit is an extraordinary thing. Ordinary storage tools cannot keep its spiritual qi 100% fresh. Only this green jade bottle can retain all the spiritual qi. When you take it out again, it will look like it was just picked. Qin Wushuang took it respectfully and said with gratitude, "Thank you, Silver Monkey King, for your generous gift." The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. "Wushuang, I should be the one thanking you. If you had not been quick-witted and asked Bao Bao to swallow that holy ivory flower, I am afraid this fierce battle would have lasted for at least a month. The loss to the monkey clan would be incalculable. However, Qin Wushuang did not claim the credit. That was Bao Bao's good fortune. Initially, the holy ivory flower was something he ate. I only reminded him. Haha, it's rare for you to not claim the credit. The Silver Monkey King laughed. Of course, let's be realistic. You did a lot to protect Bao Bao. After he had finished, the Silver Monkey King paused for a moment and said to Qin Wushuang, Wushuang, that barbarian tribe saw your bow and arrow. I am afraid they will find out your identity sooner or later. Thus, when you return to the human countries, you must be careful of the barbarian tribe leaving the eastern Qi mountain and taking revenge on you guys. Bao Bao said angrily, Darn those barbarian tribe. When I have mastered my skills, I will kill my way to the barbarian tribe and kill all 8 of their tribal chiefs. Let's see if they can still stir up trouble. Surprisingly, the Silver Monkey King did not stop him as he nodded. Bao Bao, the Monkey Clan will avenge the barbarian tribe sooner or later. When the elite warriors of the Monkey Clan finish attending the great sacrificial ceremony from the Xianyuan Mound, the elite warriors of the Monkey King Mountain will gather and kill the barbarian tribe from the abyss. When they returned to the Stone Forest Cave, Bao Bao laughed. Boss Wushuang, this time, you have come to the Monkey King Mountain as a guest. Why don't you stay here and play for a while? After a while, when the elite warriors of the Monkey Clan return, you can leave. How about it? The Silver Monkey King also looked forward to it and urged him to stay. He had some injuries on his body and needed some time to recover, and Bao Bao had just evolved into the Gold Monkey King. For now, he was not strong enough to resist the joint attack of the 3 tribal chiefs. With an elite warrior like Qin Wushuang here, it would be good news for the Monkey King Mountain. Qin Wushuang thought. Teacher's Dantian was sealed by the head palace master and the others with the 4 divisions soul-locking technique. It can last for about 3 years, and I have received great benefits from the Monkey Clan. And since Bao Bao and I hit it off, since he has spoken, it would be unreasonable to abandon him. Immediately, he nodded. Okay, then I will disturb you guys for a while. Hearing his promise, Bao Bao was overjoyed. Boss Wushuang, don't say anything about disturbing. I'm very happy that you are staying. After he had finished speaking, he pulled Qin Wushuang's sleeve. Let's go, Brother Wushuang. I will take you to walk around the Monkey King Mountain. Not allowing Qin Wushuang to speak, he dragged him away. The Silver Monkey King also felt gratified when he saw everything. The Silver Monkey King had lived for thousands of years and was good at judging people. Of course, he could see that this Qin Wushuang was not simple. Bao Bao felt that being friends with this person was beneficial and harmless. P.S. Today, I have some matters to attend to during the day. Thus, the 4th update will not exceed 21 p.m. However, it will be finished before 22 p.m. I'm very sorry. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 340. Qin Wushuang had stayed for more than a month. During this time, Qin Wushuang was also attracted by the beautiful scenery of the Monkey King Mountain. He went around to experience the spiritual qi of the Monkey King Mountain. And at the Monkey King Mountain, there were spiritual medicine and spiritual fruits at every step. During this time, Qin Wushuang had also eaten a lot of good things. Thanks to Bao Bao, he had eaten a lot of good things. Naturally, these things were greatly beneficial to the accumulation of spiritual qi in Qin Wushuang's training stage. After staying for more than a month, Qin Wushuang had gained a firm foothold in the advanced stage. However, each time when Bao Bao wanted to spar with Qin Wushuang felt depressed. Currently, Bao Bao was already at the perfect stage. Although he had not stabilized his strength, his combat power was extraordinary. If Qin Wushuang used the graceful spiritual bow, Bao Bao could not beat Qin Wushuang. If he did not use the graceful spiritual bow, then Qin Wushuang would be inferior to Bao Bao. After more than a month between this human and beast, they had established a deep friendship. Qin Wushuang told Bao Bao about some interesting things about the human world. It also made Bao Bao fascinated as he asked Qin Wushuang to take him to the human countries to see the world. Qin Wushuang laughed. Bao Bao, for this matter, you can't just ask me. You must ask the Silver Monkey King to agree. Bao Bao chuckled. The Silver Monkey King will not object. Why? Qin Wushuang was extremely curious. If I want to go to the Xian Yuan Mound or other forbidden spiritual zones, for sure the Silver Monkey King will object. The reason is that my strength has not reached perfection. However, going to your human countries is the place with the least risk in the entire Tianxian land. If I cannot go there, then I can only stay at the Monkey King Mountain. Bao Bao's words made Qin Wushuang laugh involuntarily. Okay, if you can persuade the Silver Monkey King, for sure I will not have a problem. Bao Bao jumped 3 meters high. Okay, I will go now. Then, his body shot out like an arrow from a bow. A golden light flashed, and he disappeared. That was how impatient the monkey was. When Qin Wushuang returned to the stone forest cave, the Silver Monkey King had clearly received the news from Bao Bao. When he saw Qin Wushuang return, he also wore a smile on his face as he looked at Qin Wushuang. Wushuang, Bao Bao said he plans to go with you to the human countries to gain experience. Are you not against it? Silver Monkey King, it is my honor to have the Gold Monkey King as my companion. What reason do I have to object? Qin Wushuang's answer was also very clever. The Silver Monkey King said with a smile, if that's the case, let Bao Bao follow you to the human countries to broaden his horizons. However, Wushuang, Bao Bao is the Gold Monkey King and is responsible for the fate of our monkey clan. I hope you could take good care of him. Qin Wushuang nodded solemnly. Silver Monkey King, since you have entrusted me with this task, even if I, Qin Wushuang, have my bones crushed, I will not let anything happen to Bao Bao. The Silver Monkey King laughed. For the elite warriors of the human countries, even the most elite ones could not hurt the Gold Monkey King. I am only afraid that elite warriors from the forbidden spiritual zones are roaming in the human countries. Such elite warriors are not someone Bao Bao could resist at his current stage. However, with such elite warriors, even at the Monkey King Mountain, I cannot protect Bao Bao. Bao Bao cried out, Silver Monkey King, I am smart. If I cannot beat them, I will run away. When I can beat them, I will take care of them. Ha ha. Both the Silver Monkey King and Qin Wushuang laughed. All right, Bao Bao, you are tired of staying at the Monkey King Mountain. It's time for you to go out and explore. I will not feel at ease if you go to other places. The human countries are just right for you to gain experience at your current stage. Wushuang, Bao Bao will go with you to gain experience. He is your friend. He can help you solve your problems. Bao Bao can also help you shoulder your grudges. Don't take care of him just because he is the Gold Monkey King. Suddenly, the tone of the Silver Monkey King changed. Qin Wushuang was stunned for a moment and finally understood. Since he was going out to gain experience, he would not achieve his goal if he was too protective. Bao Bao, if the conflict between Wushuang and the Nine Palace faction requires your help, don't be stingy. Ha ha. The Nine Palace faction, the Monkey Clan can still afford to offend them. Bao Bao cried out, can't afford to offend them. As long as they make me unhappy, I will also offend them. I am the Gold Monkey King. Who would I be afraid of? Surprisingly, the Silver Monkey King did not object. Instead, he encouraged him. Yes, you're the Gold Monkey King. You must grow through battles. When it comes to battles, you must bring out the courage of the Monkey Clan and show the power of the Gold Monkey King. The tone of the Silver Monkey King was serious, as if he was teaching his own offspring. Bao Bao shook his 2 forearms to show his agreement. I estimate that in about 6 or 7 days, those elders of the Monkey Clan should return. You should prepare. As soon as those elders return, you will leave the dispersed praying mountain immediately. Bao Bao, at most in 10 years, you must return to the dispersed praying mountain. The grudge between the Monkey Clan and the Deep Abyss barbarians must not exceed 10 years. Bao Bao put away his monkey clothes and said seriously, okay, no need to wait for 10 years. I will return and turn the barbarian tribe upside down. To Bao Bao, Qin Wushuang welcomed him. Regardless, Bao Bao was a capable helper, and the Silver Monkey King had promised that Bao Bao could help him deal with the Nine Palace faction. It was an even more positive signal. Although Qin Wushuang knew that the Silver Monkey King would never make such a decision that would not benefit him. Regardless of the perspective, with Bao Bao as the Gold Monkey King, he would have more capital to deal with the Nine Palace faction. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang also remembered young Master Zhao's words. He said that Zhuo Tianzi, the head of the Nine Palace faction, had connections in the Xianyuan Mount. This layer of connections that he did not understand made Qin Wushuang feel somewhat worried. Qin Wushuang knew very well that it would not be easy to develop in the Tianxian land without some capable helpers. Now, with Bao Bao by his side, if he returned to the 7 deadly formation arrays and acquired the Purple Flame Electric Beast, it would be equivalent to having 2 more elite warriors at the perfect stage. With such arrangement and such trump cards, he could definitely catch the Nine Palace faction off guard if he used them all of a sudden. For sure, the current Nine Palace faction would spend all their efforts on how to deal with Qin Wushuang's graceful spiritual bow. Most likely, they would place their other thoughts on Zhuo Buqian, the new perfect stage. They would never know that Qin Wushuang, being at the middle stage, would hold 2 trump cards that would determine the outcome of the battle. We thought here, Qin Wushuang was also overjoyed inwardly. He was already looking forward to giving the Nine Palace faction a huge surprise. He had collected Zhu Dazhong's head and detained young Master Zhao. These were also the huge surprises he would give the Nine Palace faction. Indeed, as the Silver Monkey King had guessed, those elite warriors of the Monkey Clan had returned to the Monkey King Mountain after 6 days. When they learned about the invasion of the barbarian tribe, these core warriors of the Monkey Clan were both shocked and furious. After they learned about the situation, they were extremely grateful to Qin Wushuang, their human friend. Naturally, these elders would not object to Bao Bao and Qin Wushuang going to the human countries to train. Instead, they supported them. In the morning, the Silver Monkey King led the team and escorted Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao to the foot of the Monkey King Mountain. The Silver Monkey King repeatedly instructed Bao Bao. After he had finished, he walked next to Qin Wushuang. With a wave of his hand, a jade box appeared. He said to Qin Wushuang, "Wushuang, this is a farewell gift from our elders after discussion. Please accept it." Bao Bao pulled it over and said with a smile, "What gift is this? Let me see if it's too stingy." As soon as he opened it, he saw 2 fruits the size of a longan, verdant and green. They appeared extremely attractive as if they were carved from jade. They emitted a wave of light fragrance that made Qin Wushuang feel refreshed and refreshed. All the bones in his body felt a wave of pleasant and wonderful feeling. Bao Bao laughed. "Tiske, this time the elders are very generous. Boss Wushuang, you are rich. This is the green ice heart fruit, a 1,000-year-old fruit. When a human consumes it, even the most ordinary one can turn from a mortal body into a spiritual body. They can directly obtain upper sky power and at least 500 years of life." Qin Wushuang drew a breath of cold air. This, how would I dare to accept it? The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. "Wushuang, since it's a gift from the Monkey Clan, just accept it. After all, without you, most likely the Monkey King Mountain would have been taken over by the barbarian tribe. Not to mention these precious spiritual fruits. For this 1,000-year-old spiritual fruit, the Monkey King Mountain only has a few digits. It's apparent how precious it is. However, to give something to someone, good things must come in pairs. Thus, we can't give away one. Thus, please don't reject these 2. Bao Bao encouraged him. "Yes, Boss Wushuang, this time, if it weren't for you, the Monkey Clan would also be in great trouble. Especially the holy ivory flower. It would be a disaster if those vulgar barbarians got it. Compared to it, although these 2 are precious, they are not as precious as the holy ivory flower." The other monkey elders also nodded. "Take it. You are the first human to receive such a gift from the Monkey Clan. Don't reject it." Qin Wushuang was moved as he experienced the enthusiasm of the Monkey Clan. Indeed, as the information had stated, The monkey clan knew how to be grateful. They were also the easiest clan to interact with in the dispersed praying mountain. Immediately, he took it. If that's the case, I will not hold back. Bao Bao laughed. If you are being polite, you are looking down on the monkey clan. All the monkey elders laughed. The silver monkey king said, "Okay, let's say goodbye. Bao Bao, remember, don't forget the promise of 10 years. I won't forget." As he spoke, he pulled Qin Wushuang's sleeve. "Boss Wushuang, let's go. I can't wait to see the colorful world of the human countries." Under the gaze of the Silver Monkey King and a group of monkey elders, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao disappeared from the end of their vision. Along the way, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao did not deliberately cause trouble. Bao Bao asked a lot of questions along the way as if he had a book of 100,000 whys in his mind. His questions were endless. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang was patient as he answered all of them without the slightest impatience. After walking for 10 days, they arrived at the border of the dispersed praying mountain. At the border, Qin Wushuang suggested, "Bao Bao, you are the gold monkey king. Each of your movements is important. So when we go out, I want you to hide in my storage bag. Don't let the people of the Nine Raven Empire know your origin, so as not to bring you unnecessary trouble." Bao Bao had always heard the Silver Monkey King talk about the viciousness of humans. Instantly, he nodded. "Okay, it's a deal. I will only hide for a while. You must let me out after we get out of this tunnel." Of course. Qin Wushuang opened the storage bag. Suddenly, with a flash of light, an object scuttled out. It was that spiritual mouse of Zhu Dazhong. Initially, Qin Wushuang had sealed him. After some time, the effect had ended and this spiritual mouse had regained his senses. Now he had found an opening and scuttled out. He plunged his head into the ground. When Bao Bao saw it was a spiritual mouse, he laughed. "Let's see where you can run to." Then he also plunged into the ground. Author's note, 4th update, that's all for today. The following chapter is a short chapter from Old Bull and is not the main text. If you see the update notice, those who are going to sleep do not need to wait. Tomorrow, we will continue. To be continued, if you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 341. Qin Wushuang was stunned. While he was hesitating, in a moment, Bao Bao crawled out from the ground and grabbed that spiritual mouse. He jumped back with a grin. "Boss Wushuang, let me take this spiritual mouse as my pet." Qin Wushuang laughed. "Okay." As soon as he finished speaking, Bao Bao was overjoyed. He patted the head of that spiritual mouse and shouted in beast language, "Stinky mouse, if you dare to run away again, I will swallow you in one bite when I catch you." Apparently, that spiritual mouse was restraining its fear of Bao Bao's methods. A moment ago, it had escaped at a fast speed. However, it did not expect that the speed of this little golden monkey was a few times faster than it. Without any effort, he had caught it. At the moment, it could only admit defeat and nodded with a wronged expression. Qin Wushuang laughed. "Bao Bao, this spiritual mouse is very cunning. Don't get tricked by it. You must be careful." Bao Bao was extremely confident. "Boss Wushuang, don't worry, I still have many methods that I have not used. I promise that I will make it obedient." Qin Wushuang laughed. That would be for the best. When they got out of the dispersed praying mountain, Qin Wushuang returned to his original appearance under the mask. Anyways, Zhu Dazhong's framing would not have any effect, as he was already out of the dispersed praying mountain. Since he had stayed at the Monkey King Mountain for a month or two, when Qin Wushuang came out, it was already late autumn. Bao Bao still turned into a small and furry figure. From his appearance, he looked like an ordinary pet. One could not see through Bao Bao's special bloodline. He was the legendary golden monkey of the Monkey Clan. "Boss Wushuang, where are we going now?" Bao Bao stood on Qin Wushuang's shoulder, and from time to time, he would make some mischievous movements. He scratched his ears and scratched his cheeks. He was extremely curious about the imperial capital of the Nine Raven Empire. Everything seemed so fresh to him. "We're going to find someone and then go back." As Qin Wushuang spoke, he had already arrived at the area of the Iron Fan Gate. Xiao Bailong, the master of the Iron Fan Gate, did not expect that Qin Wushuang would return so quickly. Naturally, he was overjoyed. Although Marquis Fei didn't dare offend Xiao Bailong, Xiao Guan still felt some pressure from the Iron Fan Gate that he had entrusted to Xiao Bailong. Therefore, Xiao Bailong also hoped that Xiao Guan could quickly leave the imperial capital and go somewhere else. Sect leader Xiao, have I troubled you during this period of time? I wonder if that brat Xiao Guan has caused any trouble for you? Qin Wushuang was actually worried that Xiao Guan was too hot-headed and couldn't control himself. Xiao Bailong smiled and said, Mister, you're treating me like an outsider. Young Master Xiao is still quite capable. In the past few months, he hasn't touched a single drop of alcohol and has been wholeheartedly learning various skills. He's very hardworking. Qin Wushuang laughed heartily and said, Good. In that case, I'll have to trouble Sovereign Xiao. Please call him out. I'm leaving. Xiao Bailong ordered, Go and invite young Master Xiao here. After not seeing him for a few months, Xiao Guan was obviously much more spirited. There was no longer a trace of drunkard's drowsy look on his face. Instead, it was replaced by a bright sunshine, giving people the feeling that he was in high spirits and much brighter. Mister, you're really back. Xiao Guan was overjoyed and went forward to salute. Qin Wushuang smiled and said, I heard from sect leader Xiao that you've been very hard-working these few months. I'm very gratified. We'll take our leave now, sect leader Xiao. Xiao Guan was very polite, showing the upbringing of a disciple of a big family. Sect leader Xiao, I've troubled you during this period of time. In the future, if Xiao Guan can stand out under Mister, I'll definitely not forget the kindness of taking me in these few months. Xiao Bailong smiled and said, Young Master Xiao, there's no need to be so courteous. You're a loyal descendant. I'm very ashamed that I couldn't help the Xiao family in this state. Since Mister entrusted me, I'll just do my best. Qin Wushuang cupped his hands and said, Sect leader Xiao, we'll meet again someday. After he had finished speaking, he took Xiao Guan and left. Qin Wushuang went to the horse market to buy 2 fine horses and rode one with Xiao Guan. After they had left the imperial capital of the 9 Raven Empire, Qin Wushuang finally spoke. Xiao Guan, since you're following me, you should know my identity. Xiao Guan bowed on the horse and said, Mister, please give me your name. I will remember it. Ha. My name is not bigger than your 9 Raven Empire. I'm from the East, the 3 Eastern Empires. Being an offspring of an aristocratic family, Xiao Guan was also knowledgeable. He was not an ignorant playboy. I just don't know. Which Eastern Empire are you from? The Great Luo Empire, Qin Wushuang, disciple of the Stargaze Palace. That's me. Qin Wushuang. Xiao Guan was shocked. Mister, are you Qin Wushuang? Qin Wushuang laughed. What? Xiao Guan revealed an overjoyed expression. Mister, I am truly fortunate to be able to serve you. Currently, in the human countries of the Tianxian land, who doesn't know your name? You are already considered the #1 elite warrior of the young generation in the Tianxian land. You use the power of one hand to force back an elite warrior at the perfect stage. Qin Wushuang smiled bitterly. How did this matter spread to the 9 Raven Empire? Xiao Guan gave a long sigh. It only spread in the past few months. Last time, your name had not spread. In the past few months, I heard that in every corner of the human countries, your name is spreading. Unexpectedly, I am so lucky to be taken in by you. When he said here, Xiao Guan could not help but choke with sobs as the rim of his eyes turned red. Apparently, he was overjoyed from the bottom of his heart. Bao Bao sat on Qin Wushuang's shoulder and spoke to Qin Wushuang in beast language. Boss Wushuang, you are so famous in the human countries, haha. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. I would rather not have that kind of method of becoming famous. If I can keep my teacher from getting hurt, I would rather be a nobody for the rest of my life. Bao Bao said in beast language, It's all right. Using the spiritual infant fruits, your teacher has profited from a disaster. Not only has his Dantian healed, his potential has also increased greatly. Of course, it would not be a problem for him to reach the perfect stage. In the future, he would have a great chance to break into the void martial stage. Qin Wushuang was overjoyed when he heard these words. His emotions surged. If his teacher could gain a turning point and enter the void martial stage, it would be the best thing that could happen. From this point, although the great Luo Empire was powerful and no one could bully them in the human countries, the legacy of the Stargaze Palace would become even more stable. Xiaoguan, although I am a disciple of the Stargaze Palace, I do not plan to introduce you to the Stargaze Palace. In the secular world, I have a family. Although they're the royal family of the subordinate countries, they also hold an extraordinary position. I want you to work for my family. Are you willing? Xiao Guan said with joy. As long as I work for you, even if it is to go to the slave tribe, I would be happy. A gentleman would die for his friends, and I would be willing to die for you. Not to mention working for the royal family. And with your talent, in the future, you will ride the wind for thousands of miles and rise up. For sure, your family will rise and become the royal family of the great Luo Empire. Qin Wushuang laughed. Thank you for your auspicious words. Then he said, Xiaoguan, although you're only a pre-sky realm warrior and your training talent is not exceptional, I will have a way to let you enter the upper sky. Now, Qin Wushuang only had one initial stage pill left. He planned to give it to Xiaoguan. However, for all of this, he still needed to observe for a period of time to see Xiaoguan's talent, to see if he was truly a useful talent. Being an offspring of an aristocratic family, Xiaoguan had only trained up to stage 8 of the genuine force. Naturally, he would never enter the upper sky without any connections. Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, he felt even more grateful. Entering the upper sky. If he could enter the upper sky, then perhaps he would have a chance to avenge his family's grudge. Then, the grudge between the Shao clan and Prince Fei would come to an end. However, Xiaoguan knew that now that he was under the tutelage of Mr., he could not let hatred get to his head. He must first perform well and let Mr. see his hard work and his ability. Along the way, Qin Wushuang also gave Xiaoguan a lot of pointers on martial arts, which greatly benefited Xiaoguan. With the guidance of a famous teacher like Qin Wushuang, Xiaoguan's improvement was naturally very fast. Riding at full speed, they traveled for about 20 days before returning to the east. Originally, with Qin Wushuang's speed, it would not take so long. However, considering Xiaoguan's speed, he could only accommodate him. After returning to the east, they spent another 10 days before finally entering the great Luo Empire. Qin Wushuang had left in the early spring. When he returned, it was already early winter. After experiencing the 4 seasons, each blade of grass and tree of the great Luo Empire still remained clear. Qin Wushuang said to Xiaoguan, Xiaoguan, take this letter and go to the heavenly royal mansion in the Bayou country. I have already explained everything inside. Perform well. I will return to the family soon. Xiaoguan nodded and said with tears, Mister, I hope you can return to the family soon. Qin Wushuang waved his hand. Go, be careful, and don't cause trouble. Xiaoguan was at stage 8 of the genuine force. If he did not cause trouble, he would not encounter any problems at the heavenly royal mansion. Bao Bao watched Xiaoguan leave and laughed. Boss Wushuang, this Xiaoguan loves to cry. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. After experiencing the disaster of his family's destruction, it's already not easy for him to do what he did. Besides, he is only 18 or 19 years old. Bao Bao rolled his eyeballs. Boss Wushuang, then how old are you? Stunned, Qin Wushuang laughed. Indeed, he did not care much about his age. When he reincarnated, he carried all the memories from his previous life. Thus, he always felt that his age in this world was fake. He rarely paid attention to his real age. Speaking of his physical age, he was only 19 years old. He would only enter 20 years old after this year. After this year, I will be 20. Bao Bao, what about you? Qin Wushuang was curious. Bao Bao said with a smile, I am only 8 years old. 8 years old? Qin Wushuang was dumbstruck. Too monstrous, an 8-year-old perfect stage. Indeed, this spiritual beast was unreasonable, especially Bao Bao, who was the descendant of the immemorial divine monkey. He could not be measured with common sense. After walking for a day and a night, Qin Wushuang finally arrived outside the Stargaze Palace. From afar, the Stargaze Palace still looked the same. However, the atmosphere above the Stargaze Palace was still somewhat strange. Qin Wushuang knew that even after such a long time, the Stargaze Palace still could not walk out from the haze of that battle. From today onwards, the Stargaze Palace will sweep away all signs of decline and return to the right path. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang made a vow. He quickened his steps and arrived before the mountain gate in the blink of an eye. Although the mountain gate had been repaired, the traces of that battle still remained. As he walked on the stone steps, Qin Wushuang walked slowly. Each time he walked, he was replaying the details of that battle, and the fire of hatred also continued to burn. 9 Palace Faction. Sooner or later, I will settle this debt with you. Qin Wushuang arrived before the mountain gate with determined steps. Who is it? A few figures scuttled out from the left and right side of the mountain gate. They stared at Qin Wushuang with eyes full of alertness. The outbreak begins today at 5 chapters. The monthly votes will continue to rise. Roar, roar. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 342. Stunned, Qin Wushuang could not help but laugh. He took off the mask and revealed his true face. Senior brothers, I am Qin Wushuang. Junior brother Qin Wushuang? Of course, these core disciples on duty recognized Qin Wushuang. Although they were not in the top 10 and had not interacted with Qin Wushuang, they recognized him instantly since they were from the same sect and had met many times during the year-end exam. Indeed, it's Junior Brother Qin. Junior Brother Qin, you are back? Where have you been during these days? Qin Wushuang laughed. Senior brothers, let's talk about this later. In this year, how is the Mountain Gate? Did the 9 Palace come to harass us again? The 9 Palace never came. Junior Brother Qin, please come in. As soon as Qin Wushuang walked through the Mountain Gate, he rushed towards the main palace. Although it was still far away from the 3 years, inwardly, Qin Wushuang was extremely anxious. Indeed, he could empathize with his teacher's injuries. If the Monkey Clan had not invited him, he would have rushed back as soon as he had acquired the spiritual infant fruits. Currently, the 4 palace masters were sitting in the main palace and discussing the grand plan. In this year, although the 9 Palace had not come to seek revenge, the more calm they were and the less news they received, the more dangerous it would be. Most likely, this was the calm before the storm. Once the 9 Palace made a move, it would be extremely terrifying. Although Zhuo Buqian had consolidated his perfect stage, considering the powerful strength of the 9 Palace, the Stargaze Palace was still in danger. It could even be said that they were swaying in the wind and rain. Of course, being a major sect with a few thousand years of history, the Stargaze Palace still had the capital to fight in this life and death crisis. Boss, Second's injuries do not seem to be good. Tian Jixing, the 5th Palace Master, was the first to speak. Zhuo Buqian nodded lightly. Don't be impatient. Although our 4-division spiritual lock technique has some flaws and will not last for 3 years, we should be able to hold on for 2 years. With Wushuang's luck, maybe he can get the spiritual infant fruits too. Tian Jixing sighed. That young man, Wushuang, is indeed blessed. I only hope that he will have the fortune to get the spiritual infant fruits and come back to save Second's life. In the Stargaze Palace, if one of the 5 Palace Masters is missing, I would not be able to adapt. In this year, since Second is not here, we seem to be much more urgent than usual when dealing with the matters of the Stargaze Palace. With one less person, the order will be messed up. In the past, Zhong Wuyin, the 3rd Palace Master, did not get along well with Tan Zhongqi. Now, he also felt deeply moved. My personality has never gotten along well with Second. However, if the Stargaze Palace does not have him, I feel that it would not be easy. Boss, you said that the spiritual infant fruit only bears fruit once every few hundred years. Can Wushuang get it? This is a matter of life and death for Second Brother. On the contrary, Zhuo Buchuan's tone had become even calmer. Although Wu Shuang has great fortune for such matters, I would not dare to make a conclusion. While they were talking, a female disciple ran out from inside and said with an anxious expression, "Head Palace Master, go take a look. It seems that second Palace Master's injuries are worsening. You should go take a look." Zhuo Buchuan stood up abruptly, and his expression changed slightly. "Go take a look." The other three Palace Masters all showed a somewhat uneasy expression as they all chased after him. Lying on the bed, Tan Zhongqi's entire face had turned as red as a piece of paper. Zhuo Buchuan was shocked. "Second, calm down." Still, Tan Zhongqi's mouth revealed an indifferent expression as if he had seen through everything. He said with difficulty, "Everyone, I am selfish. I am afraid that I will leave first. The future of the Stargaze Palace will depend on you four." Tian Zhixing mumbled, "How could this be? How could this be?" Zhong Wuyin paced around anxiously and kept pacing back and forth. Lung Xiuqi, the fourth Palace Master, stood next to the head Palace Master and asked in a low voice, "Head Palace Master, how is it?" Zhuo Buchuan said with a pale expression, "The four divisions soul-locking technique could not lock Second's shattered Dantian. His Dantian started to crack and his blood gushed out. We can only save him if we have the spiritual infant fruits." Tan Zhongqi gave a light sigh. "No need to be sad. When Wu Shuang returns, please tell him for me. As his teacher, I cannot see him bring glory to the Stargaze Palace. After I die, please scatter my ashes over the sky of the Stargaze Palace. In the unseen world, I will protect the Stargaze Palace." Zhuo Buchuan sent in a wave of spiritual qi and said in a low voice, "Second, don't speak. Calm down. I will use my spiritual qi to suppress your blood and qi. The three of you, please stand guard for me. I can suppress second brother's blood qi for at least 7 days. After 7 days, if there are no spiritual infant fruits, it will not be too late to think of a way." Tan Zhongqi gave a long sigh. "Head Palace Master, there is no need to waste your spiritual qi." Zhuo Buchuan said seriously, "Second, since you have taken Wu Shuang as your disciple, you must believe in him. Many times, he has created miracles. This time, why don't you continue to trust him?" Tan Zhongqi was stunned. At this moment, that female disciple ran in from outside the door. "Head Palace Master. Head Palace Master." Zhuo Buchuan was somewhat annoyed when someone interrupted him. At this time, a figure rushed in quickly from behind that female disciple. "Teacher, I am Qin Wu Shuang, and I am back to see you." Just as Qin Wu Shuang had walked into the main palace, he saw this female disciple who was taking care of his teacher, standing there anxiously. Of course, he did not know this female disciple. Just when he was about to ask, this female disciple recognized Qin Wu Shuang. "Aren't you seeing your brother Qin Wu Shuang?" When she received Qin Wu Shuang's affirmative answer, this female disciple immediately explained the situation. Feeling panicked, Qin Wu Shuang immediately asked her to lead the way. "Wu Shuang." All 5 palace masters were shocked. Tan Zhongqi could not help but straighten his body. He extended his trembling arm and waved at Qin Wu Shuang. "Wu Shuang, is it really you? You are back." After not seeing him for a year, his teacher had become even skinnier. His entire body was like dry wood. His originally smooth face had become as rough as pomegranate skin and had no luster. "Teacher." Qin Wu Shuang threw himself before the bed and took out that green jade bottle. He said with a choked voice, "Teacher, I did not disappoint you and brought back the spiritual infant fruits. Please eat it immediately." Zhuo Buchuan was overjoyed. Spiritual infant fruits? The other 3 palace masters also surrounded him. They did not expect that Qin Wu Shuang had made it back at this critical moment, and he had grasped the timing perfectly. They would not believe it if one said that there was no will from the heavens. Zhuo Buchuan smelled it and looked at it. He was overjoyed. "Second, you are saved." Tan Zhongqi's face was filled with a joyful smile. In this smile, there was gratification and pride. However, it was not the ecstasy of having escaped death. With such a disciple, he would have no regrets even if he were to die. Tian Jixing gave a long sigh. Second, the head palace master is right. Wu Shuang had created many miracles. This time, you should believe in him, right? Ha ha. The other palace masters all nodded and asked, Boss, how do we use this spiritual infant fruits? Qin Wushuang immediately explained, swallow it directly. Zhuo Buchuan pointed the green jade bottle at Tan Zhongqi's mouth and activated his spiritual qi slightly to send it into his mouth. Although this spiritual infant fruit was big, it melted as soon as it entered the mouth. As soon as it entered Tan Zhongqi's mouth, it turned into waves of refreshing spiritual qi that kept pouring in. Instantly, it seemed as if tens of thousands of waves of spiritual qi had gathered around Tan Zhongqi's body and repaired all of his meridians. Then, it formed waves of qi that flowed towards his dantian. These waves of qi formed a wave of gentle spiritual qi. Like a silkworm cocoon, it wrapped around Tan Zhongqi's dantian. It not only repaired it, but also nurtured it. No wonder this spiritual infant fruit was a divine object. It truly had the effect of bringing someone back from the dead. In a moment, a miraculous change appeared on Tan Zhongqi's face. Like a giant python shedding its skin, layers of skin slowly cracked and fell off automatically. What replaced it was a new layer of skin that had the luster of a baby. This change started from his face to his neck, to his arms, and then to his entire body. Second, how do you feel? Zhuo Buchuan asked in a low voice. Great. As soon as this voice came out, everyone was stunned. It was because it was not Tan Zhongqi who had answered, but that little furry golden ape on Qin Wushuang's shoulder. Qin Wushuang scolded lightly. Bao Bao, these are my seniors, do not be rude. Bao Bao chuckled and imitated the human hand gestures. He cupped his hands and said, Bao Bao pays his respects to all seniors, haha. Bao Bao's human language was far less proficient than Qin Wushuang's beast language. Thus, it sounded extremely funny, and even Tan Zhongqi could not help but laugh. When they saw Tan Zhongqi laughing, the other four palace masters felt relieved. They knew that the miraculous effect of the spiritual infant fruit had worked. Tan Zhongqi gave a long sigh. Indeed, as he said, it feels great. Qin Wushuang was overjoyed as he held his teacher's hand tightly. Slowly, his hanging heart also calmed down. However, Bao Bao said proudly, how could the spiritual infant fruits from the Monkey King Mountain not be good? Qin Wushuang introduced, Teacher, Palace Masters, Bao Bao is a monkey friend I made at the Monkey King Mountain of the Dispersed Praying Mountain. He is extremely interested in the human countries and came with me. This time, it's all thanks to Bao Bao that we were able to get the spiritual infant fruits. Of course, Zhuo Buchuan knew that there was a monkey clan in the Dispersed Praying Mountain. He did not neglect and said sincerely, Then I must thank you, Bao Bao. Haha, no need to thank me. Boss Wushuang has helped the monkey clan a great deal. This spiritual infant fruits is only a return. Bao Bao's human language was rather difficult to pronounce. However, even with his babbling, one could not help but laugh when looking at him. After about 2 hours, Tan Zhongqi opened his eyes again. He slowly sat up by holding the edge of the bed and gave a long sigh. No wonder the spiritual infant fruit is a divine object. I can no longer feel any trace of injury in my dantian. Although my dantian is still extremely weak, it has been completely restored. Give me 1 or 2 months, and I should be able to recover to my original strength. The 4 palace masters all went up to congratulate him. Second, congratulations. This time, you have truly survived a disaster. Congratulations on taking in such a good disciple. Tan Zhongqi returned each of their greetings. Bao Bao laughed. Second palace master, you are Boss Wushuang's teacher. Let me tell you, you don't need 1 or 2 months. Half a month is enough. You still haven't understood the following effects of the spiritual infant fruits. Would you believe me if I told you that you can break into the Void Martial stage? Void Martial stage? The other 4 palace masters were stunned as they looked at Bao Bao with astonishment. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. support the original reading. Chapter 343. Qin Wushuang took over Bao Bao's words and said to all the elders, "Teacher, for palace masters, this spiritual infant fruit is a mature one. Thus, it has extraordinary effects. Not only can it repair the Dantian, it can also transform it and increase one's training potential." The Silver Monkey King said that after consuming this spiritual infant fruit, it would not be a problem to reach the perfect stage. There's also a great hope to enter the void martial stage. When everyone heard his words, at first they were stunned, then they were overjoyed. Zhuo Buchuan laughed straightforwardly. "Second, this is your fortune. Vaguely, everything is determined by the heavens. You have turned misfortune into fortune and gained fortune from misfortune. It is the fortune of the Stargaze Palace to have acquired this fortuitous opportunity. It is also a sign of the Stargaze Palace's prosperity." "Great, haha, great." Zhuo Buchuan was open-minded and did not show a trace of jealousy. On the contrary, he was overjoyed. The more elite warriors the Stargaze Palace had, the brighter the future of the Stargaze Palace. This was an indisputable fact. Tian Jixing sighed. "Second, congratulations again. Haha, Void Martial Stage. If an elite warrior of the Void Martial Stage appears in the Stargaze Palace, then in the human countries, who would dare to bully us?" Zhong Wuyin and Lung Qiuqi also nodded. Earlier, they were not convinced by Tan Zhongqi. However, after the battle with Zhao Heng, they finally realized why Tan Zhongqi was ranked above them. And as the second palace master of the Stargaze Palace, Tan Zhongqi had many advantages that they did not have. Thus, currently, he was not jealous of Tan Zhongqi, but only joyful. This joy came from looking at the problem from the perspective of the entire Stargaze Palace. Thus, his stage and height were completely different than before. Zhuo Buchuan was the first one to calm down. After feeling happy for Tan Zhongqi for a moment, he expanded his thoughts and started to consider all the problems. After a moment of silence, he said, "Everyone, for now, let's keep the news of Second's recovery a secret. Don't let the disciples know. Currently, besides a few core disciples who know that Wushuang went to get the spiritual infant fruits, most of the disciples do not know. To prevent too many people from spreading the news, let's keep this news a secret. Or else, when the news of the spiritual infant fruits reaches the Nine Palace, most likely they will change their plans. They will speed up their invasion of the Stargaze Palace." Zhuo Buchuan's words instantly. The other palace masters' expression became solemn. These palace masters were all extraordinary figures. Naturally, they could analyze the meaning behind the head palace master's words. Since the Stargaze Palace knew the effects of the spiritual infant fruits, the Nine Palace would also know. If the Nine Palace faction knew that Tan Zhongqi had consumed the spiritual infant fruits and had the possibility of advancing to the Void Martial Stage, they would make the first move. Or else, with the way the human countries handle the relationship between the Stargaze Palace and the Nine Palace, Tan Zhongqi would surely seek revenge. Instead of waiting for Tan Zhongqi to enter the Void Martial Stage, it would be better to make a move first. Fortunately, besides the 5 palace masters, only those 10 core disciples knew about Qin Wushuang's movements, and those 10 core disciples were his most trusted subordinates. Naturally, they did not need to worry about the news leaking out. Boss is right. We have to keep this a secret. Even if Second could not enter the Void Martial Stage, he could enter the Perfect Stage. Together with Boss and Wushuang's Divine Bao, they could deal with the Nine Palace. If the Dragon and Tiger sect can join hands with the Stargaze Palace to deal with the Nine Palace, we will no longer be in a passive situation. From Zhong Wuyin's tone, there was a wave of rich hatred. On that day, he had also participated in the battle before the Mountain Gate and felt a deep sense of shame. Qin Wushuang said, "Now, the most important thing is for Teacher to recover his power. Then, we will aim for the perfect stage. Let's take it one step at a time. The Nine Palace faction is not completely unrestrained." "Oh, why do you say so?" Qin Wushuang said seriously. Zhao Heng of the Nine Palace faction also had his Dantian injured. He had sent Zhu Dazhong and his grandson to the dispersed praying mountain to get the spiritual infant fruits. Only, I did not disgrace my mission and shot Zhu Dazhong to death with a graceful spiritual bow. I helped my teacher vent some of his anger, and that young Master Zhao was captured alive by me. After he finished speaking, he grabbed young Master Zhao from his storage bag. Then, he lifted Zhu Dazhong's severed head out of the bag. The 5 palace masters fixed their eyes and saw that it was Zhu Dazhong's head. His eyes were still wide open, as if he had died with remaining grievances. Zhong Wuyin was the first one to laugh. Good job. Zhu Dazhong, your archaic mysteries sect had led the wolf into the house. How come you are dying even faster? Ha. Tan Zhongqi seemed to have gotten used to Qin Wushuang's miracles as he gave a long sigh. Wushuang, you are growing at a fast speed. Now, you're already a pillar of support like us 5 palace masters. You must not be complacent. You must work harder. Qin Wushuang said respectfully, I will remember your teachings. Zhuo Buchuan showed some joy on his face. Zhao Heng's Dantian is injured, and he needs the spiritual infant fruits. This is good news. This way, the 3 perfect stage warriors of the 9 palace faction are only left with 2.5. The Stargaze Palace will have a much greater chance. Bao Bao only smiled when he heard their lively discussion. However, since Qin Wushuang did not speak, he could not interrupt. Since Qin Wushuang was not in a rush to speak, he had his own plans. He knew that it would not matter if he exposed his strength. However, he could not expose the secret of the 7 deadly arrays formation. And for his 2 trump cards, one was Bao Bao, and the other was the purple flame electric beast. Thus, for the time being, he did not plan to expose them. When the purple flame electric beast was born, he would train him well and surprise the seniors of the Stargaze Palace. Qin Wushuang did not like to show off. Now, before the purple flame electric beast was born, he would not boast about the future that had yet to become reality. It was not his style to do things. Zhuo Buchuan asked, Second, are you going to continue to rest here, or return to the Green Cloud Palace? Tan Zhongqi said in a low voice, Since we need to hide the news, let's stay here. If we return to the Green Cloud Palace, it would cause a lot of speculation and unnecessary panic. It makes sense. The other palace masters all nodded. Qin Wushuang said, I will serve you here. Tan Zhongqi shook his head and said, Wushuang, you are the pillar of the Stargaze Palace. How could you waste your time here? It's still that old saying, you can do whatever you want. I will not restrict your freedom. Zhuo Buchuan also comforted him. Wushuang, now that your teacher's Dantian has recovered, he only needs some time to recover. If you want, you can protect him for a month. After a month, you will continue to train. How about it? A month was most likely the time for Tan Zhongqi to recover. Since Zhuo Buchuan had spoken, the others did not object. Third brother, another year's winter has arrived. You will be in charge of this year's end-of-the-year exam. I must go to the Dragon and Tiger sect to hear Shi Chenglong's opinion. Zhong Wuyin, the 3rd palace master, said seriously, Boss, you're going to the Dragon and Tiger sect at this time? Before, I was taking care of 2nd and did not have time to go. For this matter, it's better to communicate with the Dragon and Tiger sect as soon as possible. We cannot be passive and slack off. We must take the initiative. Tan Zhongqi also agreed. Third, let the head palace master go. To deal with the 9 palace faction, the Stargaze Palace cannot do anything alone. To protect our position in the east, we must work together with the Dragon and Tiger sect. Zhuo Buchuan said, 4th, 5th, you 2 will be in charge of other matters in the Stargaze Palace. Each of you will take turns to protect 2nd. How about it? Okay. The other palace masters all nodded in agreement. For this trip, I will return before the new year in 1 month, or 3 months at the latest. Zhuo Buchuan said. Each palace master had their own duties and had clearly defined their own tasks. The appearance of the spiritual infant fruits and Tan Zhongqi's recovery had swept away the haze of recent years. It allowed them to see the vigorous vitality, the future of the Stargaze Palace, and the capital to fight against the 9 palace faction. After everyone had left, Tan Zhongqi held Qin Wushuang's hand lightly and patted it slowly. His tone was filled with gratitude. Wushuang, the most successful thing in my life was not becoming the second palace master of the Stargaze Palace, but taking you in as my disciple. Before the other palace masters, I cannot say some things. However, since only you and I are here, I will say this arrogantly. In the future, the Stargaze Palace will prosper in your hands. Qin Wushuang, you will walk to an unprecedented height. Teacher, I am afraid. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. Wushuang, a real man will not pass on his responsibility. Don't be afraid. I'm giving you the praise you deserve. Even that child Wei, you would have to look up to you from now on. The head palace master already told me about your graceful spiritual bow. You should treasure it. Divine weapons are like double-edged swords. If you use it well, it is a divine weapon. If you don't use it well, it will bring disaster to you. Qin Wushuang nodded. I will remember your words. For sure, I will treasure the graceful spiritual bow with my life. Tan Zhongqi nodded lightly. Wushuang, today, I feel like I am in a dream. At that time, my injuries had worsened and I already had the will to die. Inwardly, I felt somewhat regretful. When I was about to die, none of my disciples were by my side. Unexpectedly, Wushuang, you have created a miracle for me. Teacher, this is your fortune. Or else, how could I have returned with the spiritual infant fruits within a year? Qin Wushuang recounted his experience from the Stargaze Palace to the Monkey King Mountain in full detail. Besides the secret of Bao Bao, the golden-haired monkey, he did not hide anything. With a somewhat solemn expression, Tan Zhongqi said thoughtfully, Wushuang, that Miss Mu Rong you mentioned is somewhat strange. Teacher, I also feel strange. That Miss Mu Rong has an extraordinary temperament. I feel that she most likely came from the forbidden spiritual zones. Tan Zhongqi said seriously, It must be so, I just don't know where she came from. Then suddenly he laughed. Wushuang, in the end, that Miss Mu Rong did not mean you any harm. She must have a good impression of you, or else she would not have invited you to drink alone. Suddenly, Bao Bao said, Miss Mu Rong? Mu Rong? What? Bao Bao we know. Qin Wushuang asked curiously. Bao Bao wrinkled his nose and curled his furry body into a ball. He pretended to be deep in thought. I heard the Silver Monkey King talk about some major powerhouses in the Xianyuan Mount. It seems that there's a major powerhouse of the human clan with the surname Mu Rong. There is still 2 more chapters to go before the 7 deadly arrays formation. Haha, Purple Flame Electric Beast. Can he get out tonight? Let's wait and see. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 344. Xianyuan Mound? Both Tan Zhongqi and Qin Wushuang were surprised. Yes, it's the Xianyuan Mound. Bao Bao thought hard. I remember that powerhouse seems to be the floating snow house. They live in the extreme north of the Xianyuan Mount. It seems that the floating snow house has some relationship with the Monkey Clan. However, the Silver Monkey King said that it's all in the past. At this stage, the Monkey Clan has been exiled to the dispersed Praying Mountain and rarely interacts with many powerhouses in the Xianyuan Mount. Tan Zhongqi did not know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at Qin Wushuang with a smile. Wushuang, this is fate. As for whether it's a good thing or not, I would not dare to guess. However, I cannot predict the matters of the Xianyuan Mount. Qin Wushuang said seriously, Teacher, at this moment, I only have one thought in my mind. How to deal with the 9 Palace faction. To deal with the 9 Palace faction, to bring glory to the Stargaze Palace, to let the great Luo Empire rise above the human countries and become the core powerhouse of the human countries. This is my great wish. Tan Zhongqi applauded. Good, I did not pick the wrong person. Wushuang, I'm extremely happy that you have such a great wish. I have more reason to believe that this great wish will come true one day. Bao Bao laughed. Wouldn't that be easy? Boss Wushuang, I think you will accomplish this great wish in 10 years. At that time, You must accompany me back to the dispersed praying mountain to deal with the barbarian tribe. Qin Wushuang laughed. Okay. He stood up. Bow bow. Let's go guard outside and let teacher rest to recover his strength. Okay. Bao Bao agreed. Indeed, the follow-up effect of the spiritual infant fruits was in defiance of the natural order. The more Tan Zhongqi trained, the more surprised he became. Each day, he could feel a wave of powerful presence spreading from his dantian. It was a form of vigorous life force, as if a newborn was growing up. No wonder the spiritual infant fruits are divine objects. Just as that Bao Bao said, it will not be a problem for me to break into the perfect stage. Perhaps, within a year, I can make an attempt. Tan Zhongqi's heart was filled with joy. When he thought of how Qin Wushuang had obtained such an incredible opportunity for him, Tan Zhongqi's heart was filled with warmth and comfort. In less than a month's time, Tan Zhongqi had completely recovered to the state he was in before he was injured. Moreover, his skills had improved a little. Of course, he knew that one couldn't become a fatty in one bite. It was not realistic to aim for the perfect stage in one go. At the moment, he stopped this impulse and called Qin Wushuang to his side. Wushuang, I have already achieved perfection and recovered. You've protected me for so long, but don't delay your cultivation. From today onwards, you can go and cultivate. Qin Wushuang stammered. He nodded and said, Shizuan, disciple has a request. Go ahead. Tan Zhongqi's eyes were filled with kindness. I want to return to the Bayou country. Can I not participate in this year's year-end exam? Tan Zhongqi laughed. At your level, you don't need to participate in the year-end assessment. Go. I promised you that I will not restrict your freedom. Now, Qin Wushuang had also walked out from the shadow of that battle with Zhao Hong. He nodded and said, Teacher, please send my regards to the senior sisters. I will return to the Stargaze Palace at the beginning of next year. This time, Qin Wushuang was going back to activate the third circle of the 7 deadly formation arrays. Most importantly, he needed to break the seal on the Purple Flame Electric Beast. With this Purple Flame Electric Beast, Qin Wushuang would have enough trump cards in the battle with a 9-palace faction. After bidding farewell to his teacher, Qin Wushuang took Bao Bao and headed towards the Bayou country. Perhaps it was a coincidence. In the 3 years that Qin Wushuang had entered the sect, he had returned home 4 times in the winter. 3 of the times were before the new year. The last time, he had returned to the Great Song Mountain through the transportation circle. The first time, he had returned to deal with the national crisis. The second time, he had returned victorious from the Heavenly Lake Empire. The third time was this time. After some calculation, it had been exactly 1 year since he had returned to the Bayou country. At this time last year, his brother-in-law, Shi Ming, had consumed the supreme great initial stage pill. If nothing unexpected happened, he should be in the upper sky realm now. Boss Wushuang, where are we going this time? Bao Bao asked with a curious tone. Qin Wushuang laughed. Back to my hometown, the Bayou country. Bao Bao, I will take you to a fun place. Bao Bao hated the word fun the most. As soon as he heard these 2 words, he became extremely excited. Okay. How fun is it? Qin Wushuang laughed. However, before I take you there, you must promise me that you will not tell anyone about this secret, including the elders of the Monkey Clan. Bao Bao thought for a moment. Not even the Silver Monkey King? Qin Wushuang sighed. No, Bao Bao said with a rare seriousness. Okay, Boss Wushuang, since you said it this way, you must have your reasons. Don't worry, I will not tell anyone. Okay, then I will take you there. Qin Wushuang laughed. This time, Qin Wushuang had returned to his hometown in a low-profile manner. He did not visit anyone and enter the country secretly. This year's situation was the same as last year. A large group of farmers had come to help at the Heavenly Royal Mansion. Indeed, after a year, the construction of the Heavenly Royal City had changed greatly. Currently, the Heavenly Royal City had taken shape and had formed the outline of a major city. Qin Wushuang had returned to the Royal Qin Mansion quietly. Of course, he was overjoyed to see his family. As Qin Wushuang had expected, his brother-in-law, Shi Ming, had indeed entered the upper sky realm. and his father had also reached the peak of Stage 9 of the genuine force. He was only one step away from that upper sky realm. Wushuang, the Tong's information said that you were going out for business. I thought that you would be away for a long time. I didn't expect that you would come back for the new year. Qin Lianshan was overjoyed. Now, his son was becoming more promising and held a higher position in the Stargaze Palace. Of course, he was overjoyed. He hoped that his son would become a dragon. Indeed, his son had become a dragon. As a father, his only wish was for his son to come home often. And Qin Wushuang did not disappoint his father's expectations. He came back once a year and arranged everything properly. Father, this business trip went smoothly. Thus, I came back early. Is everything okay at home? Uncle. Just as Qin Wushuang was speaking, suddenly, a wave of hurried footsteps came from outside the door. Next, a young and tender voice came from the outside. Next, a cute little boy stood at the door and looked inside curiously while shaking a windmill in his hand. Outside the door, Qin Xiu laughed lightly. Cheng, do you know who your uncle is? Currently, little Cheng was 1 year and 4 months old. The children in this world seemed to be growing faster than Qin Wushuang's former world. Currently, little Cheng was as lively and cute as the 2 or 3-year-old children in his former world. The little guy leaned against the door and sized him up for a moment. Then he extended his little hand and pointed at Qin Wushuang. He is my uncle. Overjoyed, Qin Wushuang walked over and opened his arms. Cheng, do you want a hug from your uncle? Since little Cheng was born in the royal family, he was not shy with strangers. He said with a smile, Uncle, every day Mommy says that you are so powerful. You're the most powerful uncle in the world. Qin Wushuang laughed. That is Mommy praising your uncle. Cheng, do you think your uncle is powerful? The little guy tilted his head and looked at him again and again. Then, he mumbled, Mommy would not lie to me. If Mommy says Uncle is powerful, of course, Uncle is powerful. Qin Lianshan couldn't help but laugh when he heard what she said. Qin Xiu walked in and looked at Qin Wushuang with a smile. Wushuang, you are back. Sister, you are still so young. Qin Wushuang sighed. Qin Xiu laughed. Wushuang, when did you learn to be so glib? The older you are, the younger you can be? How could there be such a thing in the world? Qin Wushuang chuckled. Suddenly, he remembered something. Sister, there is such a thing in the world. Sister, think about it. When you're 100 years old, what will you look like? Qin Xiu said unhappily, 100 years old. If I could live to 100 years old, my face would be full of wrinkles and my hair would be white. Qin Wushuang laughed. If there are no accidents, that would be the case. However, if that is the case, brother-in-law would be lonely with such a long lifespan after entering the upper sky realm. Therefore, I have decided to give you a few hundred years of youth. Qin Xiu thought he was joking as she laughed lightly. Wushuang, I haven't seen you for a year, and you have become so glib. Tell me the truth. Do you have someone in your heart? Qin Wushuang laughed. Sister, I am not joking. Now, father and brother-in-law are both in the upper sky realm. If they are lucky, they could reach a higher realm. Their lifespan would be at least a few hundred years. I don't want anyone in our family to be missing. Thus, I must let you stay young forever. Bao Bao was overjoyed on Qin Wushuang's shoulder. Of course, he knew what Qin Wushuang meant. He scratched his ears and cheeks in excitement. Outside the door, De Shi Ming's hearty laughter came. Wushuang, what method do you have to let your sister stay young forever? Outside the door, De Shi Ming walked in with a face full of excitement and joy. Little Cheng called out, Daddy. Qin Wushuang touched Bao Bao. Initially, I did not even dare to imagine it. But today, there is not a single word of falsehood in my words. Bao Bao, come and meet my family. Bao Bao cupped his hands in a salute and mimicked how humans greeted each other. His furry body appeared extremely funny. He did not even let go of little Cheng as he also cupped his hands twice. Feeling curious, little Cheng also copied him and cupped his hands. This way, you cupped your hands and I cupped mine. A human and a beast cupped their hands together. Bao Bao is from the monkey clan of the Monkey King Mountain in the Dispersed Praying Mountain. The Monkey King Mountain is rich in spiritual goods. The Monkey Clan gave me 2,000-year-old spiritual fruits. They are called the green ice heart fruit. If an ordinary person eats one, they will immediately gain upper sky power and at the same time gain 500 years of youth. After he had finished speaking, he opened his hand and held the jade box that contained the two items. As soon as this divine object appeared, the entire hall immediately radiated with dazzling divine light. It was so bright that it was a complete mess. Even though everyone here was from the secular world, their hearts were shaken when they saw such divine object. They knew that this object was not ordinary. Urgent request for monthly votes. There is one more chapter. It will be delivered at 2030. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 345. Qin Lianshan smacked his tongue and said stutteringly, "Wu Shuang, this thing looks extraordinary. Does it really have such miraculous effects?" Qin Wushuang smiled and caressed Bao Bao to signal him to answer. Bao Bao said with his broken human language, "In a Monkey King Mountain, we only get 5 or 6 pieces of this green ice heart fruit in 1,000 years. Sometimes we even get none. This divine object should be the most precious seed of divine objects in my Monkey King Mountain. Of course, it would be a waste to give one to each person. If each person gets half, it should be the most cost-effective." However, Qin Wushuang said, "Wouldn't it affect the effect if each person gets half? Even if each person only gets a small piece, it would not affect much. Half would not be a problem." Bao Bao said with a smile, "I forgot to tell you, after consuming this green ice heart fruit, your future in martial arts will not lose to your teacher." Qin Wushuang was stunned on the spot as he looked at Bao Bao with disbelief. "Bao Bao, you're not lying to me, right?" Bao Bao protested. "Boss Wushuang, when have I ever lied to you?" Qin Wushuang laughed. "It's my fault, haha, it's my fault." Immediately he said, "Father, you, sister, brother-in-law, and Cheng will each take half of this ice heart fruit. Not only will you gain 500 years of life, you will also have great hope to break into the void martial stage." Void martial stage? Qin Lianshan was stunned. The Shiming was also unfamiliar with this stage. Qin Wushuang laughed. Above the spiritual martial force is the void martial stage. Now, Qin Wushuang was extremely familiar with the understanding of the spiritual martial force. However, regarding the void martial force, he only knew a little about it from Tan Zhongqi and did not know much. In the spiritual martial force, the strongest perfect stage can only merge 50% of the natural power. And in the void martial stage, one can merge more than 50% until 100%. The vacuum shape refinement is extremely miraculous. This is the concept of the void martial stage that my teacher told me. A warrior at the lowest void martial stage could easily kill a perfect stage. Qin Wushuang's words made Qin Lianshan and the others feel as if they were in a dream. Bao Bao laughed. "Boss Wushuang, the void martial stage you mentioned is too mysterious. Let me explain it to you." Qin Wushuang laughed. "Okay, Bao Bao. The capable ones do more work, tell me." Bao Bao straightened his chest and said seriously with an expression of a big shot on the stage, "The void martial stage that Boss Wushuang spoke of are all theoretical things. Let me talk about the difference between the void martial stage and the stage." Bao 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 laughed. "Wushuang Wushuang." Bao Bao laughed mischievously. "Boss Wushuang, most of your words a moment ago are nonsense. But there are 4 words that are very important. Vacuum refinement. Shape, 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 shape. Wushuang mean the shape. Void. Vacuum refers to traversing through the void. Shape refining refers to changing one's form. Bao Bao, what does it mean to travel through the void? What does it mean to change the shape?" Qin Wushuang asked. To travel through the void means to walk without using your legs. You can use different methods to transform into the void. For example, flying, evading techniques, passing through walls, entering the ground, and many other methods. Anyways, it's a way to break through the normal way of walking. You can think of all kinds of divine skills. Shape refinement is also full of tricks. To the Beast Clan, when we reach the Void Martial stage, we can refine our shape and transform into your human form. Of course, this is only an example. In fact, there are many types of shape refinement. You can transform your body into the void and hide it in a mustard seed. You can attach your body to a talisman and escape through the void. You can also transform your body into an illusion and hide in the void. Bao Bao's words had enlightened Qin Wushuang. Immediately, he had a more complete understanding of the void martial stage. If one were to say that the spiritual martial stage was still at the advanced stage, then the void martial stage would be entering the fantasy stage. Thus, the upper sky spiritual martial stage was the bridge that determined the future of a martial artist. And the spiritual martial stage was the true standard to distinguish whether a martial artist had reached a higher level. Only after entering the void martial stage, one would be qualified to come in contact with the deeper stages of the martial arts. Only then would one be qualified to explore the ultimate secrets of the Tianxian land. Especially the words of the Silver Monkey King had filled Qin Wushuang with even more curiosity about the secrets of the Tianxian land. The Silver Monkey King had said that in the end, all generations of Gold Monkey Kings had achieved the Divine Dao stage. And the Divine Dao stage should be a stage stronger than the Void Martial stage. Just by hearing the word divine, one could imagine it. Bao Bao said with a smile, "Boss Wushuang, don't be in a daze. Quickly let everyone eat the jadeite ice heart fruit. Remember, you must use a jade knife to cut it, and not metal. Regardless of the spiritual fruit, most of them cannot touch metal, or else they will dry up." Qin Wushuang had learned some more knowledge as he nodded. Okay, the royal mansion does have jade knives and jade swords. Immediately, Qin Lianshan went to get it and cut the 2 fruits into 4 pieces. Qin Wushuang laughed. Bao Bao, Chung Chung is so small, can he withstand the impact of this spiritual fruit? Bao Bao chuckled. Boss Wushuang, you are too ignorant and inexperienced. Most of the natural spiritual fruits were created by nature and not artificially refined. Without synthesizing them, how could they have such an impact? Unless it was a spirit fruit with a special attribute, then it would have such an impact. For example, the fire attribute spiritual fruits, the ice attribute spiritual fruits. Other than that, there is no harm. As soon as this thing enters your mouth, it will melt. Eat. Finally, Qin Wushuang felt reassured. Sister, why don't you take the lead? Qin Xiu often thought that since her husband, Xi Ming, had entered the upper sky realm, he had such a long lifespan. If she were immortal, how long could she accompany him? Now, Wushuang had found such spiritual fruits. Indeed, it was a blessing from the heavens. It sounded like a fairy tale. 500 years of youth. Without hesitation, Qin Xiu put half of the green ice heart fruit into her mouth. Xi Ming and Qin Lianshan also put in their mouths without hesitation. Qin Wushuang picked up Chung Chung. Chung Chung, Uncle is giving you good stuff. Do you dare to eat it? The little guy raised his mouth. Uncle, why wouldn't I dare? He opened his mouth and swallowed it. Bao Bao laughed. Boss Wushuang, now your family has a great fortune. How are you going to thank me? When Qin Wushuang saw Bao Bao blinking his eyes, he knew that he was hinting to him to take him to that fun place. Qin Wushuang said to his family with a smile, I am taking Bao Bao to the Great Song Mountains. It might take a few days before we return. Although Qin Wushuang had become famous in the world, in his sister Qin Xiu's eyes, he was still that young boy. She said with concern, Wushuang, you must come back soon. Don't make everyone worry. Xi Ming laughed. Little Xiu, with Wushuang's current strength, no matter where he runs in the Great Song Mountains, no one can threaten him. Even in the entire Bayou country, no one can threaten him. However, Qin Xiu said, it's always good to be careful. Qin Wushuang knew that in his sister's eyes, he would always be that little brother that she cared about. Immediately, he said, Sister, don't worry, I will be careful. After he had finished, he called Bao Bao and walked towards the back of the mountain. This time, he did not enter from the back of the mansion. He planned to go down from the cliff of the Great Song Mountains and enter from that narrow hole in the middle of the cliff. When he walked to the top of the mountain, Bao Bao was somewhat depressed. Boss Wu Shuang, the fun place you talked about is this mountain. Although this mountain is good, it is not as fun as the Monkey King Mountain. Qin Wushuang laughed. Bao Bao, don't be in a rush. Follow me. After he had finished speaking, he jumped down along that cliff. Seeing Qin Wushuang acting this way, Bao Bao also became motivated. He followed Qin Wushuang to climb down the cliff. Regarding climbing, Bao Bao was much better at it than Qin Wushuang. His movements were nimble and smooth. With one jump, he had jumped down dozens of meters. Qin Wushuang could only stare with envy at his fast speed. Finally, they arrived at the bottom of the cliff. Qin Wushuang led Bao Bao to enter through that cave. When Bao Bao saw that there was a cave here, he became interested. Boss Wushuang, there's a cave here. Haha, follow me in and take a look. Indeed, Bao Bao was surprised by the size of this cave. Boss Wushuang, you dug such a big cave. What are you going to do with it? Qin Wushuang laughed. I didn't dig it, but I did, haha. After walking around, indeed, Qin Wushuang saw that many goods had been stored in the storage room. Clearly, this was the work of his father and brother-in-law. Indeed, they had started to store things here. Indeed, the core area of the second circle was sealed and formed an independent space. Qin Wushuang pushed open the stone door and entered this stone room. When Bao Bao saw Qin Wushuang's solemn expression, he could not help but feel curious. Boss Wushuang, what are you going to do? Qin Wushuang said in a low voice. Bao Bao, there is a miraculous formation here, and only I can open it. Later, stay on the side and don't make a sound if you see anything strange, understand? Hearing Qin Wushuang's serious tone, Bao Bao nodded. Okay, Boss Wushuang, it sounds exciting. Qin Wushuang laughed. Definitely. As he spoke, he arrived before that green stone. Bao Bao took a look. How come this stone looks like a ferocious beast? It's carved so vividly. Qin Wushuang laughed. You will know soon. Immediately, he sat down and started to initiate the qi from his dantian. Qin Wushuang had received the baptism of 2 waves of divine power. Since he was at the advanced stage, of course, he was qualified to open this seal. As soon as he initiated the 2 waves of power, it shot out and hit the eyes of that purple flame electric beast. As soon as these 2 waves of power were initiated, the eyes of the purple flame electric beast seemed to have been ignited. Instantly, they lit up like a pair of giant lanterns. Then this giant green stone started to shake. The surface layers started to shatter, and the stone chips kept falling off. The entire stone room also started to shake slightly. The stone chips kept falling off and falling off. All of a sudden, a blinding light flashed like purple lightning. Boom! Instantly, the entire stone room was filled with purple light. Next, from the purple light, a long roar emerged. Roar. This roar had the power to swallow the mountains and rivers. At this moment, the purple flame electric beast had finally been released like a volcanic eruption after being imprisoned for thousands of years. The seal had been broken, and he was free. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 346. Qin Wushuang chanted a few words of incantation and continued to channel his power. Slowly, he managed to control the purple light inside the stone room. That purple flame electric beast roared a few times and slowly stopped. The hair on his entire body could not help but tremble as if he was stretching his muscles and bones. Bao Bao cried out excitedly. Apparently, he felt extremely excited by this unexpected scene. The entire body of the purple flame electric beast trembled twice and walked before Qin Wushuang. At first, he sized him up. Then, he moved his gigantic body closer to Qin Wushuang as if he was showing his goodwill. The ferocious appearance of this purple flame electric beast was completely different from Bao Bao. Naturally, such a ferocious beast appeared somewhat stiff, when making such a graceful gesture of goodwill. However, Qin Wushuang could see the sincerity of this purple flame electric beast. He extended his hand and patted him. "Buddy, after being suppressed for so long, are you feeling uncomfortable?" The purple flame electric beast gave 2 low growls and kept nodding. Bao Bao scuttled over and said with a mischievous smile, "Hello, my name is Bao Bao. What's your name?" Apparently, the purple flame electric beast was infected by Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao's enthusiasm as he nodded innocently. Yet, he could not speak clearly. It turned out that after being sealed for so long, his brain had not recovered. He wanted to speak, but could not express himself. Qin Wushuang said to Bao Bao, "Bao Bao, chat with the new buddy. I will take a look at this formation." Bao Bao said with a smile, "Sure." The purple flame electric beast raised his mouth and showed an arrogant expression as if he did not put this little guy in his eyes. However, since Qin Wushuang was here, it seemed that he could not refuse him. With one glance, Qin Wushuang saw through his thoughts. He laughed. "Buddy, don't underestimate Bao Bao. His strength is no less than yours." The purple flame electric beast sized Bao Bao up and expressed his disbelief. However, Bao Bao had an easygoing personality as he chuckled. "Big guy, do you think that since you are bigger than me, you're more powerful than me? If I really transform, I'll be 10 times bigger than you." Qin Wushuang had witnessed the scene of Bao Bao evolving into the Gold Monkey King. Thus, he deeply agreed. "Okay, buddy, I can testify that Bao Bao is also at the perfect stage. He can also keep evolving. So, you guys still have something in common." After hearing Qin Wushuang's repeated explanations, the purple flame electric beast finally believed him. "Bao Bao, you too. Are you going to explore the next circle with me, or stay here to protect me?" The purple flame electric beast was the first to declare, "I'm not going." The purple flame electric beast was sealed here for no reason by the master of this formation. He didn't even know who did this to him. Thus, his heart was filled with resentment. He was very resistant to this array formation. However, to Qin Wushuang, the person who had unsealed it, it was extremely grateful. Moreover, through the power of the divine light, the contract within its body was activated automatically, completing the contract with Qin Wushuang. Bao Bao was completely different as he said with great interest, "I want to go." It would be difficult if one wanted to go and the other didn't. When the purple flame electric beast saw Qin Wushuang looking at him, he could only compromise, "Go, go." Qin Wushuang laughed. "Okay, let's go take a look. You guys go to this area. The transportation formation is extremely powerful. During the transportation process, you guys must not do anything out of line, or else it will be troublesome if you get swallowed by the transportation light." The 2 beasts nodded to show their agreement. Qin Wushuang laughed. "Come." Sitting on that green stone, Qin Wushuang once again initiated the power that had been baptized by the divine light. Urged by this power, the formation started to change. With a flash of light, it wrapped the human and the 2 beasts inside. Suddenly, it disappeared. This transportation light was the same as when Qin Wushuang had been transported from the Green Jade Mountain to the Great Song Mountain. It was activated at a rapid speed and carried a desire to explore as it headed to the other side. Everything was so familiar. The familiar airflow, the familiar feeling. It was as if he was reliving an old dream. Boom, boom, boom. Once again, the thunderous explosion sound resounded next to Qin Wushuang's ears. After a moment, that wave of airflow that carried them withdrew and the 5 colored lights slowly disappeared. Whoosh! Qin Wushuang let out a breath and opened his eyes. He saw a space that was almost the same as the second circle. 7 deadly formation arrays. Third circle. Qin Wushuang stood up and slowly glanced around. He discovered that he, Bao Bao, and the purple flame electric beast were at the core area of the formation. Bao Bao was extremely curious as he started to wander around. "What is this place?" Qin Wushuang immediately said, "Bao Bao, you guys can look around, but don't touch anything, or else defenses will appear and attack you guys." Bao Bao answered with a chuckle, "Okay, I will look around." Since this 7 deadly formation arrays had recognized its master, it was equivalent to becoming Qin Wushuang's personal property. Only Qin Wushuang could remove the defenses placed on any of the things inside. Qin Wushuang took the two beasts and looked around inside and out. The scale of this cave was much smaller than the one in the second circle. However, it was also located within the precipitous cliffs and was not easy to find. Qin Wushuang thought, I just don't know which country this third circle cave is in. Qin Wushuang walked around and still returned to that formation. It was because only around the formation there would be a message left by the master of the formation. Qin Wushuang injected his spiritual qi to activate the formation. Indeed, in a moment, a wave of 5 colored lights emerged from the stone plate in the middle of the formation. This light slowly rose and slowly. It condensed into an illusory human figure. Lucky one, congratulations on entering the third circle of the 7 deadly formation arrays. Now, Qin Wushuang did not find it strange. At the second circle, he had already experienced the method of this spiritual perception message. At the moment, he did not speak a word. He knew that this was only a voice message left by the master of the 7 deadly formation arrays. It did not have the ability to communicate. He could only listen and not ask. Since you have entered the third circle, it proves that you are at least at the advanced stage. This level of cultivation was already considered a remarkable existence in the human countries. And with the purple flame electric beast submission, not many people in the human countries can threaten your existence. Of course, the fortune of this third circle will not lose to the fortune of the second circle. Thus, for this circle, besides having an extra space, you will also receive some other rewards. First, there's a 10-meter-long Fury Dragon Soul Whip entrenched outside the formation. This is a weapon at the Void Martial stage. As long as you have enough strength, you can summon the Fury Dragon Soul Whip to attack. Even if you have not reached the Void Martial stage, you can still unleash powerful power from this whip. It is more than 10 times stronger than any weapon at the Spiritual Martial stage. The second reward is a set of Void Martial stage armor. When you wear this armor, you'll not be able to see through it. However, for attacks at the Spiritual Martial stage, it is almost impossible to penetrate its defense. Even a perfect stage warrior would not be able to injure the person wearing this armor. After a moment of silence, Qin Wushuang said, This third reward is also the greatest fortune of the third circle of the 7 deadly formation arrays. It is a map of the Xianyuan Mound. There are 10 scrolls. The millions of miles of the Xianyuan Mound are all included in this map. The third reward was the total map of the Xianyuan Mound. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was somewhat suspicious. Although this thing was useful, it did not seem to be the greatest fortune, right? However, this voice immediately gave him the answer. Lucky one, perhaps you have some doubts. It's only a map. How many fortuitous opportunities are there? If you think this way, then you're wrong. The location of the fourth circle of the 7 deadly formation arrays is a mysterious place in the Xianyuan Mound. Dumbstruck, Qin Wushuang finally understood what was going on. The fourth circle of the 7 deadly formation arrays was no longer in the human countries, but in the Xianyuan Mound. Thinking carefully, it seemed to be understandable. It was because one needed to be at the advanced stage to enter the third circle. Thus, for sure, there would be a higher requirement to enter the fourth circle. Lucky one, the lowest requirement to enter the fourth circle is to enter the Void Martial stage. And elite warriors who have entered the Void Martial stage should not waste their time in the human countries. Thus, if you're willing to be mediocre, then you should just wait for death in the human countries. If you have the slightest ambition, then you should work hard to explore the fourth circle. The 4th to 6th circles of the 7 deadly formation arrays are all in the forbidden spiritual zones. As for the 7th circle, this secret will only be revealed when you enter the 6th circle. Lucky one, the 3rd circle is only a transition circle from the human countries to the forbidden spiritual zones. I did not prepare too many things. These three things are enough for you to protect yourself in the human countries. Now, what you need to do is to train hard and advance to the void martial stage. When you reach the fourth circle, you will truly realize the true strength of the Tian Xian land. Work hard, lucky one. As this voice encouraged him, Qin Wushuang nodded silently. In the martial arts training, there was no such thing as being content. Since there was a higher stage, then, as a martial artist, he could only face the difficulties and strive for it with all his strength. If he retreated, he would be a coward and would not deserve to stand in the martial arts world. Thus, even without the need for encouragement, Qin Wushuang would work hard to advance to the void martial stage. While he was thinking with rapt attention, that voice laughed again. By the way, the exact location of the third circle is at the Divine Dragon Ridge of the Red Dragon Empire. Even the elite warriors of the Red Dragon Empire would have a hard time finding this place. And even if they were lucky enough to discover this place, they would never be able to activate this defense mechanism. Thus, you don't need to worry about the core secrets of this Qi extinction array's formation being leaked. Besides, starting from the third circle, each circle has a two-way transportation direction. In other words, in this third circle, you can teleport to the fourth circle or return to the second circle. This design is to prevent you from running back and forth and wasting time. Qin Wushuang nodded silently. Inwardly, he thought that indeed, this 7 deadly arrays formation was a work of art that excelled nature. From the first circle to the second circle, it was an infinite loop. One could only teleport once. After the teleportation, the first circle would automatically be destroyed. And after the first circle, one could freely travel between the circles and teleport many times. One could also teleport many people. Indeed, this design had brought a lot of convenience to the lucky people who had acquired this formation. The Red Dragon Empire? Qin Wushuang slowly chewed on this name. Inwardly, some strange thoughts emerged. Sorry, many things were involved today, so I updated late. I will talk about the details later. Let's write first. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 347. When mentioning the Red Dragon Empire, Qin Wushuang could not help but feel angry. He wanted to kill his way to the Nine Palace faction and kill Zhao Hong. While he was thinking with rapt attention, that voice spoke again. Lucky one, it is a choice to move forward or to stay in the human countries and drag out an ignoble existence. Each right or wrong step will decide your fate. This loop ends here. I hope we can meet again at the fourth loop. After he had finished speaking, that light withdrew and slowly shrank. Then, it turned into nothingness and became dim without a trace of sound. Qin Wushuang smacked his lips and thought about the last words. Although these last words did not seem important, it should contain some kind of hint. Regardless, I must pursue the void martial stage. I must also explore the fourth loop. Qin Wushuang made up his mind and stood up. Looking around, he first collected the Rage Serpent Soul around the formation. This Rage Serpent Whip was much better than his snake-shaped soft whip by who knows how many times. Regardless of its appearance or interior, it was many times superior. For such a weapon at the void martial stage, Qin Wushuang had no reason not to take it. Next, it was that set of void martial stage equipment. When he first held it, it was as thin as a feather and as light as muslin. Qin Wushuang almost could not believe that this unremarkable thing was a set of equipment at the void martial stage. Regardless, for sure, the things that appeared inside this formation would not be fake goods. Qin Wushuang took it all. As for the 10 scrolls of map, Qin Wushuang opened it. Indeed, it was densely packed and made his scalp itch when he looked at it. After looking for a moment, he closed it. I should study this thing when I have the time. If I want to study these 10 scrolls of map thoroughly, how could I finish it without 3 or 5 months? Qin Wushuang closed the map and was about to walk out when Bao Bao and the Purple Flame Electric Beast walked towards him. While the Purple Flame Electric Beast walked, he chattered endlessly. After such a long time of recovery, he had basically recovered his ability to speak. He seemed to be discussing something with Bao Bao. Bao Bao still had that optimistic attitude of not caring even if the sky were to collapse. He laughed. Boss Wu Shuang, did you pick up some treasure? You look so happy. However, the purple flame electric beast said, Boss, don't be happy too early. The master of this formation was definitely not a good person. There must be a condition for giving you so many good things. The purple flame electric beast was full of resentment. Qin Wushuang could understand. After all, anyone would be unhappy after being sealed for thousands of years. Qin Wushuang said with a smile, Let's not talk about this for now. The two of you have walked a few rounds inside and outside. Have you seen the terrain clearly? How many paths are there to leave this cave? There are 2 paths. One is to climb up the cliff, and the other is a secret passage. It seems like we need to unlock the mechanism. Qin Wushuang laughed involuntarily, thinking to himself that the person who set up this 7 deadly arrays formation was really lazy. Even a mechanism was the same, and there was one exit at the front and one at the back. One was in the light, while the other was in the dark. However, Bao Bao said, Boss Wushuang, where is this cave? Could it be we have crossed into the forbidden spiritual zone? Qin Wushuang said with a smile, In the human countries, the Red Dragon Empire. Bao Bao's eyes lit up. Red Dragon Empire, isn't that? Qin Wushuang nodded. Yes. However, the purple flame electric beast did not know the ins and outs of this place as he opened his eyes widely. What are you guys talking about? What about the Red Dragon Empire? Bao Bao said, The Red Dragon Empire is Boss Wushuang's enemy. The purple flame electric beast rolled his eyes and shouted, Enemy? Boss, who's your enemy? Let me go and tear him apart. He must have eaten the guts of a leopard to dare to go against my boss. Bao Bao laughed. Hey, they have 3 perfect stage warriors. If you go alone, will you be able to handle it? Stunned, the purple flame electric beast laughed dryly. 3 perfect stage warriors. That's not easy. However, Bao Bao, didn't you say that boss is also powerful? You can't beat him even with that Bao. Also, you boasted that you were the Gold Monkey King. Could it be you were just bragging? Bao Bao was familiar with the purple flame electric beast after spending so much time with him. He was already used to the purple flame electric beast style and was not angry. I don't want to brag, but who said I am a natural beauty? There's nothing I can do. Boss Wushuang, did you hear it? Old Purple is jealous of me. The purple flame electric beast said with an annoyed tone. Pa, so what if you were the Gold Monkey King? Do you dare to fight with me? Currently, Bao Bao's strength had not stabilized. Although he was at the perfect stage, he had not unleashed all of his power. Compared to the purple flame electric beast, a vicious beast from a few thousand years ago, there was still some difference. However, Bao Bao was much more quick-witted as he said with a smile, Old Purple, I am friends with Boss Wushuang. You are his subordinate and we are on the same team. We don't fight our own people. We are not fighting for real. What's there to be afraid of? The purple flame electric beast said with a battle-hungry tone. Bao Bao scratched his back lazily, then scratched his chest and said lazily, If I have this strength, I should go and fight with the 9 Palace. Really? The purple flame electric beast cried out. Then let's go. Since they dare to go against Boss, I'm going to tear them apart. Bao Bao glanced at Qin Wushuang. We must listen to Boss. Although Bao Bao also wanted to cause a ruckus at the 9 Palace faction and find some excitement and fun, he had thrown the hot potato to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang said in a low voice, Now, besides beating the grass and alerting the enemy, there is no benefit to causing a ruckus at the 9 Palace faction. It's almost impossible for the 3 of us to destroy the 9 Palace faction. The 9 Palace faction claimed to have 3 perfect stage warriors. However, being the strongest sect in the human countries, for sure they have some trump cards unknown to others. Thus, to fight with the 9 Palace faction, we must lure them out of their cave and defeat them one by one. It would not be a wise choice to start a war with the 9 Palace faction at their territory, unless there's an elite warrior at the Void Martial stage among us. The purple flame electric beast said, unconvinced. Then we should just let it go? Since we are at their territory, it would not be my style if I don't teach them a lesson. After a moment of thinking, Qin Wushuang said, of course we must make a move. However, we must not do it under the name of the Stargaze Palace. The purple flame electric beast cried out, that's easy, leave it to me. Bao Bao, do you dare to go? Bao Bao said, of course. Old Purple, if you have the guts, you can set fire to the 9 Palace faction and burn down their mountain gate. That would be awesome. The purple flame electric beast twitched his mouth into a smile. Bao Bao, your idea is good. Bao Bao laughed evilly. It's fine if I don't come up with any ideas, but once I do, they will defy the natural order. Boss, how about you wait for us in this cave? Qin Wushuang said in a low voice, I will go with you guys. I will wait for you guys at the imperial capital of the Red Dragon Empire. However, you two can only go and cause a ruckus. You must not linger in battle. Bao Bao agreed. Boss, don't worry, I will not do those things that I have no confidence in. What if Old Purple becomes impulsive? Qin Wushuang fixed his gaze in front of the purple flame electric beast. Buddy, if you are going, you must promise me that you will not act on impulse. At the crucial moment, you must stay calm. We have not fought with the 9 Palace faction yet. When we go back, we can practice a few sets of cooperative tactics. Then, we will have a much better chance when we fight with the 9 Palace faction. The purple flame electric beast said helplessly, okay, boss, since you said it, I will not tear down the people of the 9 Palace faction. I will tear down their houses. Qin Wushuang nodded. This time, our goal is to make the 9 Palace faction suspicious. We will put some pressure on them and distract them. After completing this goal, we will retreat immediately. If you can avoid exposing yourselves, don't do so. Qin Wushuang was determined. Regardless of Bao Bao or the purple flame electric beast, he did not wish for them to fall into the hands of the 9 Palace faction. For this battle, they must either win or endure silently. The 3 of them left from the secret passage. After opening and closing the mechanisms, Qin Wushuang had the experience of his second circle. Indeed, he could handle it with ease. After passing through layers of underground acupoints, they finally walked out of the Divine Dragon Mountain range. Indeed, it was an extremely desolate place with thistles and thorns growing everywhere. No wonder this place was chosen as the location of the third circle. After walking out of the Divine Dragon Mountain range, there was still 1,000 miles of desolate land where miasma filled the air. This place is filled with all kinds of miasma. No wonder it has not been explored. Qin Wushuang nodded inwardly. Inwardly, he was extremely impressed by the owner of the 7 deadly formation arrays. As the first and second circle of the formation, the Green Jade Mountain and the Great Song Mountain were both located in the subordinate countries. Thus, they did not receive much attention. And this third circle was located in such a desolate place. Naturally, they did not need to worry about being discovered. After walking for 2 or 3 days, they finally arrived at the imperial capital of the Red Dragon Empire. Naturally, there were many ways for 2 perfect stage spiritual beasts to enter the city. Thus, Qin Wushuang needed to change his identity. Fortunately, he had a lot of masks. It would not matter if he changed them again and again. After changing his mask, Qin Wushuang snuck into the imperial capital and agreed on a meeting place with Bao Bao and the purple flame electric beast. Then, they went their separate ways. Qin Wushuang had come to the imperial capital to gather some information and see if there were any recent movements in the Red Dragon Empire. He especially wanted to know the direction of the 9 Palace faction. What made Qin Wushuang not know whether to laugh or cry was that he had become the most wanted criminal in the Red Dragon Empire due to the mask he had worn when he visited the brothel. His appearance and characteristics were all drawn vividly. Apparently, the matter of him killing Zhang Baidang had been investigated. With the information-gathering ability of the 9 Palace faction, they soon figured out the whole story. The clues continued to extend to the 9 Raven Empire. Naturally, they understood everything. They knew that Zhang Baidang's death should be a mission that this person had accepted from the 9 Raven Temple. As such, it was reasonable to issue a warrant for his arrest. This time, Qin Wushuang did not have the same pressure as last time. Thus, he was much more relaxed. After a few days, besides entering and exiting the inn, he did not do anything high-profile. To put it bluntly, he was waiting for news from Bao Bao and the Purple Flame Electric Beast. As soon as these two guys returned, he would retreat immediately. This time, he only wanted to cause trouble for the Nine Palace faction and distract them. For the final battle, he would rather choose the location of the three Eastern Empires. On this day, just as Qin Wushuang was returning to the inn from the outside, suddenly, he saw a figure at the corner of the street looking at him with a faint smile. That expression was so familiar. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 348. How come he is here? Inwardly, Qin Wushuang's heart thumped. Just when he was about to turn around to avoid him, that person walked up with a smile and still spoke his signature slogan. Astronomy, geography, fortune-telling, free of charge. Even in his dreams, Qin Wushuang felt a headache when he heard these words. Not to mention seeing this Li Bai again, he was the most troublesome person to deal with. He would rather meet Miss Mu Rong than this Li Bai. Although the head palace master and his teacher had discussed this matter together, they both felt that this Li Bai did not have much evil intentions. He should be an elite warrior that did not respect worldly affairs. However, despite this fact, Qin Wushuang was still restraining his fear of this Li Bai. Qin Wushuang did not like the feeling of being seen through by others and not knowing the other party's background. Before Li Bai, he felt a sense of insecurity. This form of resistance to the unknown was innate to humans. Brother, you're walking like a dragon or a tiger, and you have an impressive appearance. Please wait. This Li Bai greeted him with a smile, with a mischievous tone. Qin Wushuang already knew that this guy should have recognized him. He gave a helpless sigh and said angrily, "Each time you appear, can't you avoid me?" Li Bai said with an innocent face. "I also want to, but we are fated to meet each other. It seems that we will always meet each other. Could this be the legendary will of the heavens?" Qin Wushuang was already used to his nonsense as he said with a depressed tone, "Let's say it's fate. However, each time you meet, shouldn't you at least change a few lines? Don't you think it's boring to keep repeating the same lines?" Li Bai did not mind as he laughed with a thick face. "Just these few lines have already used a lot of my brain. If you asked me to change a line for each person I meet, I would die from exhaustion." After he had finished complaining, he mumbled to himself, "Why is it that each time I see you, my alcohol addiction acts up? I have a bad habit. Once my alcohol addiction acts up, I cannot control my mouth. Do you think this problem can be fixed?" Qin Wushuang was not in a good mood. He knew that this guy was asking for wine in disguise again. He said helplessly, "I must have owed you something in my previous life. Let's go. Where do you want to drink? You can pick the place." Li Bai laughed. "You didn't owe me anything in the previous world. Perhaps you owe me something in this world." After saying that, as if he was very familiar with Qin Wushuang, he grabbed his arm and led him to a restaurant in front. Qin Wushuang specially picked a quiet private room and ordered a table of dishes and wine. It seemed that Li Bai did not know how to write the word courteous as he poured himself a cup and drank 3 cups. Then, he said with a smile, "Junior brother, after we parted at the Heavenly Lake Empire, I calculated your identity with my fingers." "Oh." Qin Wushuang remained calm and collected. He would like to see how much this Li Bai knew. "Your surname is Qin, haha." Li Bai picked up a piece of beef and threw it into his mouth. He chewed it deliciously and pretended to be profound. It made Qin Wushuang want to punch him in the nose. However, Qin Wushuang still did not dare to act rashly. Now, he knew that this Li Bai was not simple. If he made a move recklessly, most likely, he could subdue him with one finger. It was better to not seek humiliation. Mr. Fortune Teller, I am just curious. Since you have such skill, why do you have to find trouble with me? There are tens of billions of people in this Tian land. Why do you always make things difficult for me? Li Bai laughed. Look at your words. When did I make things difficult for you? I just feel like an old friend at first sight and hit it off with you. You see, the heavens also arranged for us to meet. You bumped into the Red Dragon Empire yourself. It doesn't seem to be my fault, right? Qin Wushuang could not out-talk Li Bai. He gave a helpless sigh. I'm scared of you. Don't. Why are you scared of me? By the way, junior brother Qin, this is your second time coming to the Red Dragon Empire, right? Li Bai laughed. You are well informed. Qin Wushuang sighed helplessly. Li Bai said with a smile. Last time, you came to kill Zhang Baidang for the Nine Raven National Commander Plate. This time, why are you here? Could it be you are here to declare war on the Nine Palace? Qin Wushuang was not in a good mood. He gave a snort and did not answer. Li Bai did not mind as he said with a sincere tone, Junior brother, I advise you to bear with it. Although I've heard that you have a divine bow with you and that it's very powerful. However, Zhuotianzi is different than Zhao Hong. Your divine bow can deal with Zhao Hong, but it might not work on Zhuotianzi. Mr. Fortune Teller, from your tone, you seem to know a lot about the Tian land. Of course, think about it. I know everything above and below. Do you think you can hide such little things from me? Li Bai said proudly. I will also let you know some information. Zhuotianzi's background is also not simple. He has a powerful backer at the Xianyuan Mount. Any elite warrior from this backer could wipe out the three Eastern empires. Qin Wushuang revealed a solemn expression. He also knew that Zhuotianzi had a backer at the Xianyuan Mount. Only, he did not know who this backer was. This time, hearing Li Bai's words, his heart could not help but feel somewhat heavy. If Zhuotianzi had a powerful backer, then he would need to grasp the situation carefully when becoming enemies with the Nine Palace. Could it be, when fighting against the Nine Palace, I can only protect myself and not fight back? Qin Wushuang thought gloomily. When Li Bai saw Qin Wushuang remaining silent, suddenly he withdrew his frivolous smile and said seriously, Junior brother Qin, I heard that at the Nine Raven Temple, you had a relationship with a girl called Miss Mu Rome? Qin Wushuang said with an annoyed tone. Aren't you good at divination? How come you've changed to hearsay? Li Bai laughed. It's true. In fact, the Nine Palace had investigated everything. I only heard them talking about it when I walked around the streets. Qin Wushuang did not deny. Then what? Li Bai laughed. If you have a relationship with Miss Mu Rome and her family is willing to help, then although you would not be afraid of the Nine Palace's backer, you would have to give them some face. However, Qin Wushuang said unhappily, Mr. Fortune Teller only met that Miss Mu Rome once, and it's far from enough to help. Li Bai laughed. That might not be the case. I also heard that Miss Mu Rome is asking about you all over the world. For sure, she has a good impression of you. Ha ha ha. Qin Wushuang was speechless at Li Bai. What was a gossiper? This Li Bai was the true gossiper and extremely gossipy. It seemed that he could gossip about a lot of things no matter where he went. When Li Bai saw that Qin Wushuang was still silent, he drank the last cup of wine with a smile. Then, he approached his face and whispered, Junior brother Qin, let me give you a piece of advice. Are you willing to listen? Please speak. Qin Wushuang said lightly, You can do whatever you want to become enemies with the Nine Palace. However, you must remember one point. What? You can destroy the Nine Palace, but you must never kill Zhuotianzi. This is the bottom line. Or else, you will cause endless trouble. Be careful, be careful. When Li Bai said here, he grabbed a drumstick and stood up slowly. He still had that frivolous smile on the corner of his mouth. However, Qin Wushuang said, How come you feel that I will win for sure? Li Bai said with a faint smile, In my opinion, to you, the Nine Palace is not a big problem. In less than a year, I believe you will see the result. Ha ha. 1 year. Qin Wushuang frowned. 1 year. Li Bai grabbed the drumstick with one hand and carried his fortune-telling sign with the other. He walked out with swaying steps and mumbled to himself, Remember that advice. Qin Wushuang looked at Li Bai's departing figure with astonishment. Inwardly, he felt somewhat lost. He knew that for sure. This Li Bai was extraordinary. However, the more it was so, the more anxious he felt. He also knew that Li Bai's words were not empty words. Since Wu Tianxi had such a strong background, if he killed him, his backer would lose face. Certainly, they would ask about this matter. At that time, how could a Stargaze palace resist their anger? The Xianyuan Mound was a forbidden spiritual zone. The powerful powerhouses in the Xianyuan Mound were incomprehensible in the human countries. Who is this Li Bai? From his tone, it seems that he knows everything about the Tian Xian land like the back of his hand. Even those details could not escape his eyes and ears. How could such an elite warrior play around in the secular world? And why did he come to me for fun? Qin Wushuang's head was full of questions. Just how many powerful powerhouses are there in the Xianyuan Mound? Qin Wushuang sighed with emotion. That Xianyuan Mound had a few million miles of land and was 10 times larger than the human countries. It would not be a problem for hidden dragons and crouching tigers. In comparison, the major powerhouses in the human countries only looked at the 3 upper-ranking empires and the 9 middle-ranking empires. After some calculation, the major powerhouses only had these few. Besides, most likely, the major powerhouses in the human countries would only be small shrimps when compared to the Xianyuan Mound. It was the same as the humble Qin family in the human countries. When he walked out of the restaurant, Qin Wushuang walked slowly. Suddenly, he felt a slight movement under his feet. Suddenly, Bao popped his head out from the bottom of his pants and scrambled onto Qin Wushuang's shoulder excitedly. "Boss, let's go, let's go." "What? That old purple guy is truly powerful." He rushed to the outer palace of the 9 palace faction and spat out 10 mouthfuls of fire. Besides the main palace, all the other palaces were set on fire. Ha ha. Besides the main palace? Bao nodded. The main palace of the 9 palace faction is called the Lotus Palace. There should be some defensive spells that Old Purple could not set on fire. "Boss, let's go. Old Purple is already waiting outside." However, Qin Wushuang asked calmly, "Were you guys exposed?" Bao laughed. "I was exposed. However, Wu Tianxi would not recognize me with my current appearance. I was in charge of playing hide and seek with Wu Tianxi and wandered around the back mountain of a 9 palace faction. Ha ha. That Zui Tianxi was very greedy and wanted to catch me to be his contract beast. He didn't know that I was luring the tiger away from the mountain. Ha ha ha. That fire of Old Purple's was really strong." Qin Wushuang was overjoyed. Bao, go inform Old Purple and let him return to that cave first. Be careful of being followed along the way. Bao nodded. "Okay, what about you, boss?" "I will leave the city slowly to avoid attracting attention. Wait for me outside the city gate." Bao nodded. "No need to go through so much trouble. Let's find a remote place, and I will bring you out of the city." Qin Wushuang had forgotten that Bao had such skills. Instantly, he was overjoyed and brought Bao back to the inn. Bao dragged Qin Wushuang and rolled his body. With a flash of golden light, he brought Qin Wushuang into the ground. In a moment, they had arrived outside the city and regrouped with the Purple Flame Electric Beast. The Purple Flame Electric Beast was extremely excited. "Boss, this fire is so powerful. Unfortunately, I did not find someone to tear it down. It's such a pity." "Tear someone down? Next time, there will be plenty of opportunities. Let's go quickly. For sure, the 9 Palace faction will be furious after being burned by this fire. Let's go back first." Qin Wushuang called the 2 beasts and returned home. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 349. Qin Wushuang, Bao, and the Purple Flame Electric Beast returned to the Divine Dragon Ridge and returned to that cave. After making sure that they did not leave any traces behind, they entered that cave. When they arrived at the cave, it meant that they were absolutely safe. Bao said as if he had not had enough. "It's so satisfying. Old Purple, now I am so impressed by you." The purple flame electric beast chuckled. Only a little? How come you are not impressed? Bao chuckled. If you could take down Tianxi of the Nine Palace, then I will be impressed, haha. The purple flame electric beast said casually, Bao. When it comes to Zhuitianxi, I also seem to be somewhat impressed by you. You played hide and seek with that old guy and made him dizzy. Nice. Bao said proudly. Of course, don't you know what bloodline I have? Although the purple flame electric beast had high standards, he would not act arrogant before a truly powerful elite warrior. Thus, he did not feel disgusted by Bao's self-satisfaction. Instead, he said, Bao, since you have a good bloodline, let's compete and see who can advance faster. Bao laughed. Old Purple, for sure you cannot beat me. The purple flame electric beast chuckled. That's not for sure. You are the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey and have a better background than me. However, I also have a little secret. Haha. What secret? Be honest. Bao said with a serious tone. Haha. Allow me to keep you in suspense. Bao twitched his mouth and scratched his cheek. As if he had remembered something, he suddenly said, Old Purple. After all, you are a spiritual beast at the perfect stage. Don't tell me you don't even have a name? The purple flame electric beast said, with frustration, I've always been active in the beast clan. If I wasn't restrained by the owner of this formation, how could I have come to this place? Titles and whatnot are just fleeting clouds. Bao shook his head. That won't do. In the future, when you follow Boss Wushuang, you must have a name. Or else, you would be losing face for Boss Wushuang. It would not be glorious for you to walk out. When others talk about you without a name, they will definitely say something like that bastard. You are the evil beast. The purple flame electric beast rolled his eyes and also felt Bao's words were reasonable. Bao laughed. I have a name. If others know that my name is Bao, there will not be this problem. You don't have a name or an account. How do you expect others to address you? The purple flame electric beast mumbled to himself. It sounds reasonable. Bao. Then what name do you think I should call myself? Bao said, regardless of how awe-inspiring you are, you cannot be more awe-inspiring than Boss Qin Wushuang, unparalleled in the world. Then shouldn't you at least be a little more impressive? Even if it's just a little bit worse than Boss, it's fine. Bao tilted his little head. Let me think about it. Qin Wushuang laughed and said, You two take your time to think of a name. Let me see how this two-way teleportation array is activated. Don't make a mistake and go to the fourth ring. If we don't have enough strength, it would be strange if we get swallowed directly. For a moment, Qin Wushuang looked at the area around that stone plate. There were two directional indicators. In the direction, there was the word 2 and the word 4. Although it was carved in seal script, Qin Wushuang still recognized it. Inwardly, he had an idea. He knew that inputting the spiritual qi in this direction should be the way to activate the teleportation array. At this moment, suddenly, Bao cried out exaggeratedly. Old Purple, you were sealed for at least 1,000 years, right? You must be very lonely, very lonely. Why don't you call yourself Lone? This name is so cool. Lone? That's right. This name is so special and poetic. It matches well with your outstanding strength. Any other name would not be able to express even 1/10,000th of your awe-inspiring power. Bao encouraged him. Qin Wushuang felt that the more these two buffoons spoke, the more unreliable they became. They even used the word lone. In his former world, this word was a very popular word on the internet. Initially, he thought that the purple flame electric beast would refuse. Unexpectedly, this guy agreed deeply. As if he had been poisoned by Bao, he nodded approvingly. Bao, I didn't expect you to have some skills. Bao was even more proud. Of course, I am a #1 sage of the Monkey Clan. Old Purple, think about it. With your superior strength and unmatched strength standing at the top of the world, wouldn't that feeling of not being defeated be extremely lonely? Thus, the name Lone matches your awe-inspiring power 100%. Perhaps, one day, it's not impossible for you to surpass Boss Wushuang's awe-inspiring power. The purple flame electric beast nodded heavily. It makes sense. Bao, Now I'm 70 to 80% impressed by you. Bao Bao laughed. Yes, yes, from now on, our old purple will be the world-famous senior loan. You will kill anyone in your way, even gods in your way. The purple flame electric beast laughed. No, no, I don't like to kill people, I like to tear them apart. My favorite hobby is to tear my enemies into pieces. The two of you, cut the crap. Let's go back. Qin Wushuang shouted lightly. Same old rules, stay on both sides of me and don't move. These two were extremely obedient to Qin Wushuang. Bao Bao stuck out his tongue, and the purple flame electric beast showed off his new name eagerly. Boss, Bao Bao gave me a big name. What do you think? Very good, very powerful. Qin Wushuang said half-heartedly. How could he not know that Bao Bao was clearly teasing this guy? However, the purple flame electric beast believed his words. This name was neither fish nor fowl and did not have any awe-inspiring power. However, he did not point it out to prevent this clown from turning hostile. Bao Bao was still advocating. Only I, the purple flame electric beast, am invincible. Swift and fierce. Only senior loan of today. Qin Wushuang shouted in a low voice. Bao Bao, don't speak. I am going to activate the formation. As soon as the formation was activated, the 5 colored spiritual lights surged. It enveloped the man and the 2 beasts. With a brush, it disappeared from the place and left an empty stone plate. After an unknown amount of time, with a flash of light, they arrived at the cave of the second loop of the Great Song Mountains. As the man and the 2 beasts landed, Bao Bao shouted, Boss, it's so miraculous. So exciting. Wasn't this array formation a little too fun? With a whoosh, we arrived at the Red Dragon Empire a few thousand miles away. With a whoosh, we are back. Qin Wushuang laughed. The ancient formation is this miraculous. You two, you must keep this a secret. Bao Bao said seriously. I promise not to leak it. The purple flame electric beast was still immersed in the joy of his new name as he mumbled, I will not say it, even if you beat me to death. It would be embarrassing, I will not say it. Qin Wushuang knew that the purple flame electric beast was extremely depressed about the seal and felt ashamed of it. Okay, let's return to the royal mansion. For sure, the 9 Palace faction will be in a state of panic. It will be very interesting, haha. The more interesting it is, the more exciting it will be. Bao Bao only wish for the world to be in chaos. I don't care if it's interesting or not. If that Zhua Tianxi dares to come, I will tear him apart in front of Bao Bao. By that time, you will be extremely impressed. Yes, yes, when you can tear Zhua Tianxi apart, I will be extremely impressed. Qin Wushuang remembered Li Bai's advice. However, he did not speak it out. After all, at this time, he did not want to show weakness before his friends and let them feel that Zhua Tianxi was not someone they could offend. In that case, it would not be worth it to damage their morale before the battle. Besides, even if they had hurt it with their personality, it would be another matter whether they would fear Zhua Tianxi or not. After all, they were all spiritual beasts with exceptional talent. Even if he had a backer, they would not care. It was exactly as Qin Wushuang had guessed. This time, the 9 Palace faction was in a terrible fix and extremely depressed. When Zhua Tianxi saw Bao Bao, he felt that this spiritual beast had a bright future. He wanted to catch him and make him into a contract beast. Unexpectedly, after a few days of busy work, he did not even get a single strand of hair. While he was busy these days, someone had burned down the mountain gate of the 9 Palace faction. The most depressing part was that they did not even know who had burned down the mountain gate of a 9 Palace faction. Zhua Tianxi thought repeatedly and felt that he had most likely been tricked. He had fallen into a trap to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Could it be that the furry spirit beast actually has a master? And his master had deliberately let him lure me away to burn down the mountain gate of the 9 Palace faction? Although the fire had been put out and the loss was not great. However, the mountain gate being burned was equivalent to being slapped in the face. The entire 9 Palace faction felt extremely angry. Zhua Tianxi had summoned all the elders to the Lotus Flower Palace. Although Zhua Tianxi was in a bad mood, his expression remained calm. He also knew that although they had suffered a setback, the Nine Palace faction had not reached the stage where they needed to feel depressed. At this moment, he should encourage them. One of his disciples said, "Teacher, all the higher-ups have arrived. Besides Assistant Dao, who is out on official business, everyone else is here." So Tianzi nodded. "Everyone this time, who set the mountain gate on fire. Do any of you have any clues?" Everyone shook their heads to show that they had no clue. So Tianzi nodded lightly. "Assistant Leader Zhao, did you sense anything?" Zhao Heng's face was dry and yellow as he coughed twice. "Heads up, with my severe injuries, I've been trying to protect myself every day and did not sense anything." So Tianzi nodded. "Zhu Dazhong and your grandson have been gone for so long, and they have not returned. I think most likely they have met with disaster. Thus, a month ago, I sent Assistant Dao to the dispersed Praying Mountain to scout for information. Secondly, I went to the Xianyuan Mound to ask for a spiritual infant fruit to heal your Dantian." Zhao Heng said gratefully, "Thank you, Head Zhua. My grandson." Zhua Tianzi gave a long sigh. "You have spoiled your grandson. Zhu Dazhong is a meticulous person. If something were to happen, it would be your grandson's fault. Don't blame the people of the Archaic Mysteries sect." Zhao Heng was speechless and could only nod. Zhua Tianzi said, "For the matter of setting the fire, regardless of whether it is related to the Stargaze Palace or the Dragon and Tiger sect in the East, we must bring forward our plan of invading the East. A long delay means trouble." As soon as he said these words, all the higher-ups revealed a wild expression. Apparently, they were fascinated by the fertile land in the East and the vast abyss of the endless Eastern Sea. Invade the East. These 4 words had made their blood boil. Today, I will not go back on my words. This is the first update. Since the afternoon, it has exploded continuously. Today's plot should be an explosive period. This month, I also want to challenge the height of the monthly votes. Let's see if I can create the highest monthly votes record in the history of personal writing. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 350. Zhua Tianzi said in a low voice. "Once Assistant Leader Dao returns, it will be the day of our invasion." A white-haired elder asked, "Sect Leader Zhua, invading the East isn't a problem. I am afraid that the Nine Raven Empire and the Sky Travel Empire will not want to see the Red Dragon Empire dominate, and will interfere." Zhua Tianzi smiled lightly and waved his hand. "Head Elder, don't worry about this. Everything is within my calculations. Ever since Gao Yu of the Archaic Mysteries sect came here, I have thought about everything. Before, the 3 Eastern Empires were united, and we could not interfere. Since there is a crack in their internal structure, and the Archaic Mysteries sect has surrendered to the Nine Palace faction, the remaining 2 empires will not be able to stop us from invading the East. Even if the Nine Raven Empire and the Sky Travel Empire want to interfere, they will be caught off guard. All of you prepare yourselves. We will attack the 3 Eastern Empires within 3 months." So Tianzi always planned before acting. Therefore, he had a great reputation and absolute authority in the Nine Palace faction. Another elder asked, "Leader Zhua, how many people will we send to invade the East this time?" "The 3 leaders and 12 advanced spirit-level elders will all move out." So Tianzi smiled and ordered, "Ask Gaoyu to come and see me later. Ask him to go back and prepare." "Okay." Zhao Heng's mouth moved, but Zhua Tianzi said, "Don't worry, Assistant Leader Zhao. Once Assistant Leader Dao returns, all the answers will be revealed." "Okay, everyone is dismissed. Prepare yourselves and be ready to listen to orders." "Yes." After the high-level meeting, Gao Yu came to see him. Zhua Tianzi ordered. Gao Yu kept nodding with a serious expression. At this moment, Gao Yu also felt like he was riding a tiger and could not get off. These days, through his observation, the Nine Palace faction seemed to be ready to take action for real. However, if this was the case, it seemed to have exceeded his expectations. He originally only wanted to use the Nine Palace faction to deal with the other two empires in the east. Following the burning of the Nine Palace faction's mountain gate, the situation had completely changed. It was as if the Nine Palace faction had suddenly become the main character, and the archaic Mysteries sect had become a subsidiary. However, in front of Zhuo Tianxi's power, Gao Yu didn't have the right to say no. Fortunately, Zhuo Tianxi was rather courteous, as he promised to keep the position of the Heavenly Lake Empire. And in the future, even if they were to explore the endless Eastern Sea, the Heavenly Lake Empire would still have a share. The benefits would only be more than before. Of course, the precondition was that the Heavenly Lake Empire had to stand on the side of the Red Dragon Empire unconditionally in the future. Gao Yu knew very well that once he had boarded the pirate ship of the Nine Palace, it would be impossible for him to get off. Considering the relationship between the Nine Palace faction and the Xian Yuan Mound, after some thought, Gao Yu decided to do it. It was better to live kneeling than to die standing. The Stargaze Palace, the Dragon and Tiger sect, they were arrogant and stubborn. They did not listen to the kind words of the Nine Palace. What was the result? Once the elite warriors of the Nine Palace faction arrived, they would sweep across the east like a whirlwind. When Qin Wushuang returned to the royal mansion, besides training, he would spend time with his family or take Bao Bao and the purple flame electric beast out on the street. Fortunately, the purple flame electric beast had listened to Qin Wushuang's words and shrunk his body. Then, he had to pretend to be an obedient baby. Finally, he did not scare the others. Qin Wushuang stayed for a month or two. Only after the new year did he prepare to leave the Bayou country. Ever since he had consumed the green ice heart fruit, Qin Wushuang's family had undergone a complete transformation. Each of them had undergone an obvious change. The Shi Ming said with joy, "Wushuang, after the transformation of this ice heart fruit, for sure, Qingqing's training talent would be exceptional. As her uncle, I'll have to trouble you to take care of her in the future." Qin Wushuang nodded seriously. "Brother-in-law, Chengqing's matter has always been on my mind. When the situation in the human countries has stabilized, I will send him to the Stargaze Palace." The Shi Ming said with joy, "That would be the best." When he walked out of the house, Xiaoguan was already waiting at the door. He was ready to send Qin Wushuang off. "Xiaoguan, now that you are the internal butler of the royal mansion, you must help Uncle Si Hai take care of some matters. He was getting on in years and would retire one day. Sooner or later, you will be in charge of the internal affairs of the royal mansion." Xiaoguan said seriously, "Sir, Xiaoguan will do his best." Qin Wushuang nodded. "You also need to strengthen your own training. I have prepared a supreme quality pill for you. Next time, I hope you're already at the peak of Stage 9 of the genuine force. At that time, I will let you consume this pill, and you will enter the upper sky realm." Xiaoguan was extremely grateful. "Sir, I will work hard." After bidding farewell to his family, Qin Wushuang embarked on his journey again. In less than a day, he had returned to the Stargaze Palace. As soon as he had returned to the Stargaze Palace, Qin Wushuang was invited to the main palace to discuss matters. Qin Wushuang knew the severity of the situation and walked towards the main palace without delay. Before the new year, Zhuo Buchuan had returned from the Dragon and Tiger sect. Only, the news he had brought back was not good. Until now, Shi Chenglong, the head of the Dragon and Tiger sect, had not reached the perfect stage. Although he was extremely dissatisfied with the Nine Palaces' infiltration of the three Eastern empires, he seemed to be hesitant. It was because Zhao Hong had already suffered a setback at the Stargaze Palace when he had arrived. Thus, he did not go to the Dragon and Tiger sect. This made the entire Dragon and Tiger sect wonder if the Nine Palace had some personal grudge with the Stargaze Palace. Zhuo Buchuan tried his best to analyze the severity of the matter. Although Shi Chenglong was a yes man, he would not express his stance, not to mention agreeing to the alliance. He only said that he would observe the situation. In fact, Zhuo Buchuan knew the concerns of the Dragon and Tiger sect. Since Zhao Heng's heavy fist did not hit the Dragon and Tiger sect, they could not feel the pain. Naturally, they could not form a common enemy like the Stargaze Palace. And with the strength of the Dragon and Tiger sect, despite Changlong's confidence. He knew that it would be like hitting a stone with an egg if they were to become enemies with the Nine Palace. Due to these layers of concerns, it was reasonable for Changlong to not agree to the alliance easily. Although Zhuobuchuan was somewhat depressed, he was not discouraged. He knew that with the change of the situation, the Dragon and Tiger sect would either be destroyed or become slaves. Or else, they could only fight back. Currently, among the 5 palace masters of the Stargaze Palace, besides Tan Zhongqi, who still lived in seclusion, the other 4 had all arrived. Besides them, the 8 Shakini, 16 elders, 10 emissaries, and the top 20 core disciples were all present. Qin Wushuang walked in. Those young disciples had not seen Qin Wushuang for a long time. When they saw him return, they were all somewhat excited. Zhou Fu even waved at Qin Wushuang and motioned him to sit next to her. Qin Wushuang did not make a sound. He walked to the core seat and sat down. Zhuobuchuan nodded. Everyone today, I have gathered everyone for one matter. According to the Stargaze Palace's information, the 9 Palace faction has been acting strangely recently. All the elite warriors have returned to the mountain gate to await orders. Although there is no direct evidence that they are about to invade the east to the Stargaze Palace, we must be on guard. For this battle, I'm not trying to boost the morale of others and destroy our own. If the 9 Palace faction were to invade the east regardless of everything, regardless of the Stargaze Palace or the Dragon and Tiger sect, none of us have the power to fight against them. Indeed, Zhuobuchuan was a palace master as he was responsible. When he said these words, he did not try to cover up his mistakes. However, the Stargaze Palace has been passed down for thousands of years. Of course, we will not let the 9 Palace faction succeed without any resistance. Thus, we must prepare for 2 things. The first is to fight. The second is to transfer the young disciples. The young disciples are the future of the Stargaze Palace. As long as they are here, the legacy of the Stargaze Palace will not be lost. Even if we suffer a major setback this time, as long as you young people work hard, the Stargaze Palace will return to its peak. I have every reason to think highly of you. Zhuobuchuan's expression was extremely determined. It was apparent that this #1 leader of the Stargaze Palace had made all preparations to defend the Stargaze Palace. I will only ask you guys, are you guys proud of the Stargaze Palace? Are you willing to die for the Stargaze Palace? Are you willing to fight for the foundation of the Stargaze Palace? The 3 consecutive questions had instantly made the atmosphere of the entire scene much more solemn. Among the young generation, a few of their eyes had already turned red. All the pores on their body opened up and their blood started to boil. Had the Stargaze Palace truly reached a moment of life and death? Everyone stood up after Zhuobuchuan's 3 questions. Each of them had been chosen by the Stargaze Palace at a young age. Thanks to the sunshine and rain of the Stargaze Palace, they had been the pride of the Stargaze Palace since they were young. They were the elite of the Stargaze Palace. At the same time, they had viewed the Stargaze Palace as their home. They had been connected by a bond of flesh and blood. The Stargaze Palace was their home. It was where their bodies were attached to and where their souls belonged. Even if they had to sacrifice their lives to defend the Stargaze Palace, they would not blink an eye. What was scary about death? Many people of the same generation as them had died for the Stargaze Palace at a young age. And for them, they could die for the Stargaze Palace at any time, for this sect that they were proud of. Zhong Wuyin said loudly, "Everyone, please answer. Shout out and tell us if you are willing to stay and die with the Stargaze Palace. Are you willing?" Yes. Everyone spoke in unison and their voices shook the sky. Each face had the same expression. They were facing death with equanimity. For the sect, for the spirit that had been passed down for thousands of years. And to protect this home, why would they regret dying? Even if the country was destroyed, even if the sect was destroyed, they would fight to the death. How could they give away the good land? Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was also surging with emotions. Influenced by this atmosphere, he clenched his fists lightly and muttered inwardly, "Stargaze Palace, the sect. This is a form of inheritance spirit. With such spirit, why would we worry about the prosperity of the country?" Zhuobuchuan felt extremely gratified as he nodded. Good, good. For this battle, the Nine Palace is acting recklessly. How would they know that the Stargaze Palace does not have any trump cards? This battle will not be a battle to the death. The chance of victory will be found in this slim chance of survival. Hearing Zhuobuchuan's words, these people revealed an even more surprised expression. They all pricked up their ears to listen and wanted to know what the head palace master's trump cards were. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. The Great Luo Empire would be controlled and become a vassal of the Red Dragon Empire, or even be merged by the Red Dragon Empire. Either the Stargaze Palace could hold on and the Nine Palaces' attack would fail. From this point, the morale of the Stargaze Palace was greatly boosted. They started to soar into the sky and stride towards becoming one of the top sects in the human countries. As a result, the Great Luo Empire would rise along with the tide, and might even become the fourth upper-ranking empire in the human countries. If they were to fight, then they would fight. The Stargaze Palace was already prepared to fight to the death. March, the Nine Palace faction. Zhao Heng let out a roar and walked out from the secret chamber while laughing. Great, as expected of the spiritual infant fruit. My internal injuries have been completely healed. In just half a month, he actually completely recovered his former strength. Congratulations, teacher. Congratulations, assistant leader Zhao. Along the way, Zhao Heng laughed madly, and there was a trace of ruthlessness in his eyes. He mumbled, Stargaze Palace, Qin Wushuang. I have always been famous, and I was injured by a young kid. Haha, just you wait this time. If I don't destroy the Stargaze Palace, I will write my name upside down. When he walked before the Lotus Palace, one of Zhuo Tianxi's disciples stopped him in a hurry. Assistant leader Zhao, heads with his meeting with some important guests. For now, no one is allowed to disturb him. Before the Lotus Palace, Zhao Heng did not dare to act recklessly. He asked in a low voice, Even I'm not allowed to go in? That disciple nodded with a determined expression. My teacher instructed us to do so. Okay, then I will wait here. At this moment, a disciple walked out from the door and said to Zhao Heng, Assistant leader Zhao, Hedzwa is asking you to go in and discuss the plan. Zhao Heng nodded. Okay. Inside the Lotus Palace, there were only 3 people. Besides Zhuo Tianxi and Dao Haitang, there was another young man. This young man had an indifferent expression, as if he was the cool breeze and the ancient moon. With one glance, one could see a different temperament. When Zhao Heng looked at him, waves of unfathomable and wonderful feelings emerged in his heart. Assistant leader Zhao, come, let me introduce you. Zhuo Tianxi said with a smile. This is young Master Luo Yun of the Xian Yuan Mount. In fact, he is my cousin. Only, I am not talented enough to hang around in the human countries. And young Master Luo is an exceptional disciple of the heavenly Luo Taoist sect. This Luo Yun said lightly, Brother Tianxi, there is no need to be so humble. Everyone is just doing their job. Since you are the nephew of the heavenly Luo Taoist sect, then the greater your achievements in the human countries, the more the sect will gain face. This time, the higher-ups of the sect sent me to inspect the human countries. Firstly, it was to see how the Nine Palace faction is doing. Secondly, I heard that someone had set fire to your mountain gate. Zhuo Tianxi said with fear. This matter is extremely strange. Now that I think about it, most likely I have fallen for a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Luo Yun waved his hand. Let's not talk about this. When does the Nine Palace plan to march to the east? Initially, it was decided that the day Assistant Leader Zhao's injuries had healed would be the time to march. Now, it seems that the time is ripe. Luo Yun nodded coldly. Okay, gather all the elite warriors at the advanced stage of the Nine Palace and depart. I will help you guard the mountain gate of the Nine Palace. If the Nine Raven and the Sky Travel Empire come to cause trouble, I will send them away. Luo Yun's tone was nonchalant. However, these few words contained an aura that no one could doubt. Zhao Heng's heart tightened. Could it be that the strength of this young master Luo Yun has surpassed Hedzua? Seeing Zhao Heng's expression, Zhuo Tianxi said with a bitter smile, "Assistant leaders, young master Luo Yun is an elite warrior at the Void Martial stage. Don't look at his young age. In fact, he is only a few years younger than me." Now, Zhao Heng and Dao Haidang realized the light. No wonder this young master Luo appeared to be in his 20s or 30s. How much strength could he have at this age? Unexpectedly, he was an elite warrior at the Void Martial stage and had already reached the stage of refining his appearance. He could change his appearance. When they thought here, instantly, these two looked at Luo Yun with a complicated gaze. Suddenly, Dao Haidang chuckled. So young Master Luo is hiding his true appearance. I've really misjudged you. Sigh, wouldn't it be great if I could cultivate to young Master Luo's level? Zhao Heng joked. Assistant Leader Dao, I am afraid you are more interested in refining your appearance, right? Dao Haitang rolled her eyes. Senior brother Zhao, which girl doesn't want to stay young forever? Zhuo Tianxi waved his hand and stopped these two's nonsense. He said, send the order. Tomorrow morning, all elders at the advanced stage will gather at the Lotus Flower Palace and head east. Joy flashed across Zhao Heng's eyes as he stood up from the chair. Hedzua, I am willing to be the vanguard. However, Zhuo Tianxi said, for this battle, it will not be a large army, but a clash between the top powerhouses. We only have one goal, and that is to destroy the Stargaze and the Dragon and Tiger sect. Our primary target is the Stargaze Palace. Once the Stargaze Palace is destroyed, the Dragon and Tiger sect will have an irresistible force. Once these two powerhouses are gone, the three Eastern empires will become history. The foundation of the Nine Palace faction will officially enter the East. Thus, for this battle, we will move out as a group. There is no need to divide the vanguard into the rear. Both Zhao Heng and Dao Haidang nodded. Yes. Inside the imperial capital of the Nine Raven Empire, Miss Mu Rong and Little Bamboo were walking out of Xiao Bailong's restaurant. Little Bamboo followed behind and asked, Mistress, are we really going to East? Miss Mu Rong said with a smile, You don't want to go? No, I'm just curious. Are you sure that young Master Qin Wushuang is the Qin Wushuang from the Stargaze Palace? Miss Mu Rong said, According to the recent intelligence analysis, it should be him. Let be. Mistress, with your high status, it's not good to go to the East to find him, right? Girl, it's not as complicated as you think when I go to find him. Little Bamboo laughed naughtily. Mistress, I didn't say anything. How is it complicated? Miss Mu Rong scolded lightly. You sly girl, you are full of bad ideas. Little Bamboo said with a chuckle. Okay, I know that young Master Qin understands your zither music and is a refined person. Mistress, you think that he is a good friend, right? That's what I mean, but more importantly, I'm going to give him a heads up. Zhuo Tianxi of the Nine Palace is related to the heavenly Luo Daoist sect. It's unwise for the Stargaze Palace to become enemies with the Nine Palace. However, Little Bamboo said, Didn't you say that young Master Qin also has the bloodline of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain? Miss Mu Rong gave a long sigh. That's only my wishful thinking. I don't know whether it's true or not. Little Bamboo laughed. Mistress, if the Stargaze Palace and the Nine Palace become like fire and water, wouldn't young Master Qin be in danger? What do you plan to do? Miss Mu Rong said, Let's go take a look. Besides, didn't the Silver Monkey King of the Monkey King Mountain say it? Young Master Qin has extraordinary strength, and he also has divine weapons to protect him. He should have the ability to protect himself. Initially, Miss Mu Rong had paid a visit to the three major powerhouses of the dispersed Praying Mountain. She had only grasped some important information when she arrived at the Monkey King Mountain. Little Bamboo gave a long sigh. That's right. Mistress, the Nine Palace is related to the heavenly Luo Daoist sect. What if people of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect recognize you? Wouldn't it be troublesome? It's all right if they recognize me. Could it be that they would take me back to complete the wedding? Although the heavenly Luo Daoist sect is powerful, they would not go to such extent. Little Bamboo chuckled. That's good. In a Stargaze palace, at least 10 messages have been sent to them by intelligence agents in one day. Head Palace Master. The Nine Palace faction has gathered all advanced stage elite warriors and is moving out. Head Palace Master. All 3 chiefs of the Nine Palace faction are moving out. Such urgent information kept coming to Zhuobuchuan's ears. Zhuobuchuan was somewhat surprised. All 3 chiefs are moving out together. That Zhao Heng's injuries had healed? Or could it be that the earlier injury was just a trick of his? Tan Zhongqi said in a low voice. If he wasn't truly injured, how could he have sent Zhu Dazhong to the dispersed praying mountain? Since Wu Shuang could get the spiritual infant fruits, the Nine Palace faction can also get them. The other palace masters all nodded. Tian Jixing said, Head Palace Master, how about we start the transfer of the core disciples now? Zhuobuchuan nodded slowly. Okay, let's carry out the original plan. Send them their respective routes. Okay, there will be 1 more update in the afternoon, and 3 more in the evening. A total of 7 updates. Once again, we will aim for the monthly votes. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 352. The top 20 core disciples were all called before the 5 great palace masters. They could only move a few elite disciples, and not all of them. The more people they moved, the more likely it would cause trouble and affect the overall situation. Thus, only these 20 core disciples were arranged to move. The rest of the core disciples were arranged to hide in the subordinate countries of the Great Luo Empire. Of course, Qin Wushuang was among the top 20. Zhuobuchuan showed a solemn expression, and the other 4 palace masters were also extremely cautious. Everyone knew that since the 9 palace had set out, the battle would erupt at any moment. At the slowest, in 3 months, and at the fastest, in half a month, a major battle would erupt. Kids, the elite warriors of the 9 palace are already on the move. Just in case, all of you outstanding core disciples have to be relocated. The further you go, the better. The more remote, the better. After 3 years, if the Stargaze Palace can survive this battle, you can come back. If not, the future of the Stargaze Palace will fall on your heads. This is an order. The responsibility on your shoulders is much more important than protecting the survival of the Stargaze Palace. It's because each of you carries the great responsibility of passing down the legacy of the Stargaze Palace. Even if only 1 disciple remains, you must carry on with this ambition and never slack off. Or else, you will not have the face to see the ancestors of the Stargaze Palace. All these core disciples nodded with a solemn expression. The head palace master waved his hand, and Zhong Wuyin took out a jade box. Inside the box, there were 20 brocade pouches. Each of you will take 1 brocade pouch according to your ranking. Here were the routes that had been designed, as well as future plans. After you escape, if the Stargaze Palace cannot hold on, you can use the contents of this brocade pouch to regroup with your fellow disciples. The eyes of all the core disciples turned red. They knew that the life and death moment that would decide the fate of the Stargaze Palace had arrived. And on their shoulders, they would shoulder an extremely important responsibility. Zhuobuchuan shouted, Raise your heads, don't be depressed, and don't worry. The Stargaze Palace has existed for thousands of years and has its own reasons. The 9 Palace will not destroy it just because they want to. Don't hesitate, let's go now. Qin Wushuang suddenly spoke. First Hall Master, this disciple has a suggestion. I wonder if the Hall Masters can trust it? Wushuang, do you have any good suggestions? Tan Zhongqi was the first one to ask. I have a place that is very hidden. Even if the 9 Palace Faction's army is here, I can guarantee that this place will not be discovered. Rather than letting our fellow disciples scatter all over the place, it's better to hide in that place first. Oh! The 5 Hall Masters all revealed inquisitive looks. There's actually such a magical place? Wushuang, tell me about it. Qin Wushuang said, please come to my heavenly royal mansion in the Bayou country. Everything will become clear when you see my family. Not to mention 20, even 200 can be easily accommodated. Zhuobuchuan said in a low voice, that's not necessary. To transfer them, these 20 are enough. As for your place, if it's really so well hidden, it won't be easy for it to be exposed to too many people. Everyone, what do you think? Zhuobuchuan asked for the opinions of the other palace masters. Tan Zhongqi smiled. Wushuang has always been reliable. I am trustworthy. The other 3 palace masters also had a good impression of Qin Wushuang, as they all said, second is right. Wushuang would never act without propriety. Zhuobuchuan nodded. Okay, then we will follow Wushuang's plan. Wushuang, how about you take everyone? Qin Wushuang shook his head. I want to stay at the Stargaze Palace and fight against the 9 Palace faction with all of you. Wushuang, you want to stay? Tan Zhongqi was surprised. Disciple must stay. Seniors, please grant my wish. Zhuobuchuan sighed. Wushuang, you have such thoughts, and you have the graceful spiritual bow. You will be a great assistant. Anyways, you should stay and practice. If anything happens, we will cover your escape and regroup with Wei Yi at the Bayou country. Qin Wushuang shook his head. I believe that the Stargaze Palace will defeat the 9 Palace faction for sure. Tan Zhongqi laughed. Good. You have ambition. Wushuang, let's fight against the enemy together. We will also give a 9 Palace a surprise. Zhuobuchuan said, Wei Yi. Yes. You 19 people will act separately. Do not show off and hide yourselves. Go to the heavenly royal mansion to see the heavenly king. Understand? Wei Yi nodded. I understand. Remember, even if something happens to the Stargaze Palace, you must understand your responsibility. Do not let your emotions affect your decisions and act like moths throwing themselves into the fire. I will remember to restrain any of my junior brother's impulsiveness. Okay, go now. Zhuobuchuan said in a low voice. Let's go. Without hesitation, Wei Yi and the others waved goodbye to Qin Wushuang. Junior brother Wushuang, use your graceful spiritual bow and treat the 9 Palace faction well. Zhao Muji patted Qin Wushuang's shoulder and said with a trace of viciousness. Junior brother Wushuang, take care. Everyone take care. After 10 days, besides Zhuzhong, all 4 heads gathered at the mountain gate of the Archaic Mysteries sect to welcome the arrival of the elite warriors from the 9 Palace faction. At this time, they had no way out and would not regret it. Since they were going to fight to the death, then they would make the 2 thorns in their side, the Stargaze and the Dragon and Tiger sect, disappear. The 3 heads of the 9 Palace faction, 12 advanced stage elders, and 6 advanced stage battle beasts had all arrived. When such temperament arrived at the Archaic Mysteries sect, it had suppressed the temperament of the 4 heads. Gao Yu and the others bowed. Welcome, elite warriors from the 9 Palace faction. So Tinsi waved his hand lightly. Head Gao, no need to be so courteous. Let's discuss the marching plan. We will depart in 3 days. The reason why they had delayed for 3 days was to familiarize themselves with the terrain and make some necessary arrangements. Or else, they would not need any delay when the army arrived. This time, Zhuotianzi planned to eliminate the Stargaze Palace completely. Not only would he execute the plan to behead the leaders, he would not allow any core disciples to escape. Inside the main palace, Zhuotianzi asked, Head Gao, tell me, what is the Dragon and Tiger Sect's movement? The Dragon and Tiger Sect has always maintained a good relationship with the Stargaze Palace. However, it's a big question whether they will support the Stargaze Palace. If Heads sends out the word first, they will only attack the Stargaze Palace and will not offend anyone else. For sure, the Dragon and Tiger Sect will become even more fearful and will not help the Stargaze Palace. There is a trace of viciousness and provocation in Gao Yu's tone. Zhuotianzi shook his head. No need. The 9 Palace is one of the top sects in the human countries. It's meaningless to send out a fake signal. It doesn't matter whether the Dragon and Tiger Sect will help us or not. I only hope to grasp the entire situation. Then, I will move forward with an irresistible force and will not allow any accidents. Heads' plan is flawless. I am impressed. In total, how many elite warriors do the Stargaze and the Dragon and Tiger sect have? Zhuotianxi asked again. Each of the 3 Eastern empires has 5 advanced stage warriors. However, that Zhuobuchuan should be the only one to have advanced to the perfect stage. And since Tan Zhongxi was killed by Senior Hung, he should be on his way to the underworld. Regardless, the 9 Palace would not know about the matter at the Monkey King Mountain. Thus, they would not know that the Stargaze Palace had already acquired the spiritual infant fruits and that Tan Zhongxi had already advanced to the perfect stage. Zhao Heng laughed coldly. For someone like Tan Zhongxi, it doesn't make much of a difference whether he has it or not. Now, the only troublesome one is Zhuobuchuan. The others are not a problem. When Assistant Leader Dao and I work together, we will have 10 elite warriors at the advanced stage. We can take them down one by one. Not to mention there are 12 elders. So Tianxi nodded. The only advantage the Stargaze Palace has should be Zhuobuchuan. He already used that bow to injure Assistant Leader Zhao. If Zhuobuchuan had that bow, he would still pose a great threat. I will take care of this Zhuobuchuan. Both Zhao Heng and Dao Haidang nodded. Hedzwa, for sure you can kill that Zhuobuchuan. With Zhuobuchuan's death, the Stargaze Palace will have no leader and will fall apart. The others will be like chopping melons and vegetables. Zhuotianxi said. Assistant Leader Zhao, although the Stargaze Palace has ordinary strength, we must be careful of their trump cards. For this battle, we must not be blindly optimistic. We must take them all down. You and Assistant Leader Dao will be in charge of taking care of the other advanced stage warriors. Even if all 5 heads of the Dragon and Tiger sect come, I believe you 2 can deal with them together. In case you cannot, 3 or 4 of the 12 elders can come and help. The remaining elders will be in charge of taking care of the other small fries. There are many elders and Shakyamuni in the Stargaze Palace. However, they are all at the middle stage. I believe it should not be a problem for you elders to take care of these small fries, right? Those 12 elders all said, we will not disappoint you. Zhuotianxi said again. Head Gao, you 4 heads will be in charge of leading the elite warriors of the Archaic Mysteries sect to set up ambushes. You will guard all the passageways of the great Luo Empire and catch those fish that have escaped the net. For this little matter, you will not disappoint me, right? Gao Yu said with joy. No problem. We will kill whoever comes. If 2 come, we will kill both. If I let one Stargaze disciple escape, it will be my fault. Zhuotianxi nodded. Okay, prepare a map of the eastern region. We will arrange the ambush locations according to the map. We must eliminate all of them and leave no one alive. Yes, Zhuotianxi said again. For this attack on the Stargaze Palace, not only must we kill all of them, we must finish it quickly. After we destroy the Stargaze Palace, we will turn to the Dragon and Tiger sect and leave them no time to react. Of course, it would be easier if the Dragon and Tiger sect is willing to support the Stargaze Palace. Hedzwa is wise. For this battle, we will win for sure. Inside the Stargaze Palace, they were even more prepared. They had already received information that all the elite warriors of the 9 Palace had arrived at the mountain gate of the Archaic Mysteries sect. It could be said that a great battle was about to break out. Everyone, are you ready? The battle is about to start. Zhuobuchuan gave a long sigh. Head Palace Master, I am ready to fight. Tian Zhixing was the first to express his stance. Fight! Lung Qiuqi, the 4th Palace Master, only said one word. Suddenly, Qin Wushuang opened his mouth. Palace Masters, I have a suggestion. Wushuang, speak. I feel that instead of waiting here for the 9 Palace faction to attack, we should take the initiative and give them a surprise by ambushing them halfway. I believe that for sure, the 9 Palace would think that we are waiting at the Stargaze Palace and would never think that we have such a move. This suggestion made the 5 Palace Masters look at each other in dismay. P.S. We will continue tonight. There are 3 more chapters. We will give them all. The monthly votes in the afternoon will slow down. Please continue to support us. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 353. Take the initiative to attack. This suggestion was a little too bold. Initially, the Stargaze Palace would have a slim chance of survival when fighting with the Nine Palace. Their only chance of survival would depend on the defensive formation of the Stargaze Palace. If they took the initiative to attack and gave up their headquarters, what would the Stargaze Palace rely on? Tan Zhongqi smiled bitterly. Wu Shuang, are you suggesting to let the head palace master or me use your graceful spiritual bow to sneak attack the Nine Palace? Zhuobuchuan also smiled and shook his head lightly. Although this suggestion was beautiful, it was not feasible. It was because there were only 3 arrows that came with the graceful spiritual bow. Once the 3 arrows of the graceful spiritual bow were shot out, it would lose its deterrent power, which was definitely not a good thing. Qin Wushuang knew the intentions of the 2 palace masters. However, he said with a smile, "Palace masters, do you remember Bao Bao?" Then he shouted, "Bao Bao alone, you 2 come out." In a flash, the 2 spiritual beasts scuttled out from the storage bag. Zhuobuchuan and the others looked at Qin Wushuang with astonishment. Apparently, they did not understand what was going on. Qin Wushuang said seriously, "Palace masters, before the situation had developed to this point, I did not reveal Bao Bao's identity. In fact, Bao Bao is the gold monkey king of the monkey clan and has the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey. Now, he is a spiritual beast at the perfect stage. This matter is related to the future of the monkey clan. Thus, I did not dare to reveal this information. And Lone is also a spiritual beast at the perfect stage. He has powerful combat power. He is a battle partner that I met by chance." The purple flame electric beast was extremely proud as he raised his head and showed a complacent expression. All 5 palace masters drew a breath of cold air and could not help but size these 2 spiritual beasts with their mouths agape. Even Zhuobuchuan was extremely surprised. After a moment, all 5 palace masters started to laugh. Zhuobuchuan looked at Tan Zhongqi and gave a long sigh. "Second, your disciple is too devilish. I can no longer find any words to describe him. Haha. Number 2, I really admire your insight back then." The other 4 palace masters were all deeply moved. Tan Zhongqi also felt a surge of warmth in his heart. This was his pride, the pride of the Green Cloud Palace. Qin Wushuang had invited 2 great spiritual beasts at the perfect stage. Without a doubt, they had added 2 new forces to the Stargaze Palace. These 2 new forces were the ones that would determine the outcome of the battle. This way, the Stargaze Palace had more perfect stage warriors than the Nine Palace. So what if Zhao Heng had recovered from his injuries? The confidence of the 5 hall masters grew out of nowhere. And the future of the Stargaze Palace had become much brighter. From the previous situation where they had a slim chance of survival, they were now in a disadvantageous situation. At the very least, they had a 50% chance of survival. However, this battle was taking place in the east. The advantage of being the home ground allowed the Stargaze Palace to grasp another chance of victory. Tan Zhongqi said in a low voice, "Head Palace Master, I think we should consider Wu Shuang's suggestion." The other palace masters also nodded. Yes, with these 2 perfect stage spiritual beasts, it's a good idea to make the first move. A trace of a smile emerged from the corner of Zhuobuchuan's mouth. Of course, he knew the situation. Ever since he had learned the strength of these 2 spiritual beasts, he had been thinking rapidly. What he was considering was not only the ambush, but also the overall victory of the battle. He would use the ambush to determine the outcome of the battle. "Wu Shuang, what do you think?" Qin Wushuang said with a smile. "I have an immature idea. Please consider it. Speak. Let's split into 2 groups. Head Palace Master and my teacher will be in one group, Bao Bao, Lone, and I will be in the other group. We will ambush the Nine Palace at the border between the Heavenly Lake Empire and the Great Luo Empire. That area has a dangerous terrain with only cliffs. Our 2 groups will help each other. I will let Bao Bao or alone provoke them. If Zhuotianzi goes out himself, we will avoid him and attack their main force. On the contrary, if Zhuotianzi sends others, we will kill them. The distance to the Stargaze Palace is at least 10,000 miles. It's enough for us to act. What do you think, head palace master? After a moment of thinking, Zhuo Buqian was deeply impressed by Qin Wushuang's plan. Tan Zhongqi even laughed. Wushuang, your plan is good. Head palace master, I think this plan will work. Zhuo Buqian nodded. Indeed, it will work. The distance between our two groups should not be too far. This way, even if their perfect stage warriors move out together, as long as we can help each other in time. With the power of 4 perfect stage warriors, plus Wushuang shooting from the dark, we will be invincible. Qin Wushuang nodded leisurely. That's my idea. Tian Jixing laughed. Head palace master, I think this plan will work. Zhuo Buqian said seriously. Okay, then we will act according to the plan. For all the important matters at the Stargaze Palace, please take care of it. If other enemies invade, you can activate the defensive formation to deal with them. When we come back, we will work with them from the inside and outside. Tan Zhongqi chuckled. There's no time to lose, let's go now. To prevent the 9 Palace from getting ahead of us. After making this agreement, the group of 3 people and 2 beasts left immediately. Along the way, they kept a low profile and avoided all eyes and ears. Even their own disciples did not know about it. Of course, they acted with caution to prevent spies from being planted inside the Stargaze Palace. This time, the 3 of them did not hold back. Zhuo Buqian gave each of them a wind walk talisman. That evening, they arrived at the Eagle Strike Cliff. Indeed, the people of the 9 Palace had not arrived. Taking advantage of this time, the 3 of them familiarized themselves with the terrain around the cliff. They had a rough idea of where to escape to, where to hide, and where to snipe the enemy. Zhuo Buqian said, Second, with your identity, most likely, they have already removed you from the list. Thus, you must give the 9 Palace a surprise. Each of us will wear a mask. Let them be suspicious. It will take at least 3 to 5 days to get here from the Archaic Mysteries sect. In these few days, we will design our attack plan to prevent any mistakes in our cooperation. Tan Zhongqi said, Head Palace Master's words make sense. Wushuang, you will be in a group with your 2 friends. Remember, you must not be greedy. When you lure one, you will ambush one. Don't be greedy. Our goal is to kill the enemy, but we must also make them suspicious and shake their morale. Qin Wushuang said, I understand. Please rest assured, Head Palace Master and Teacher. I know the severity of the matter and will not be greedy. Instantly, the 3 of them discussed and chose a few hiding spots. After many rounds of discussion, in the end, they decided to set the battlefield at the deep forest under the cliff. This area was covered by thick clouds and fog. It would be the best place to ambush. And after some discussion, Bao Bao was the most suitable to lure the enemy. Due to his small size and fast climbing speed on the cliff, he had a unique advantage. Bao Bao, remember, you must let go of the main force and focus on the people behind them. Never provoke a perfect stage and only attack the elders of the 9 Palace faction at the advanced stage. It's best if you can kill them in one attack and bite them to death. Bao Bao laughed. Leave it to me. Isn't it just playing hide and seek? I'm the best at it. Qin Wushuang laughed. For sure. The 9 Palace faction will panic at the slightest sound when their elders get ambushed. This way, they will not help but send people to chase after Bao Bao. At that time, it will be our chance. Zhuo Buqian said with a smile. Wushuang, tell your friends, safety is the most important thing. Bao Bao said with his stiff human language. Don't worry, it's not that easy for them to kill me, the Gold Monkey King. After everything was distributed, everything was ready, and they were only waiting for the enemy to arrive. Both Zhuo Buqian and Tan Zhongqi were grandmasters. The closer the battle was, the calmer they were. And Qin Wushuang was also extremely calm after experiencing so many battles. He knew that if he were to scheme against the unsuspecting enemy, the result of this battle would not be bad. The first day passed peacefully. After the second and third day, it was still peaceful. On the fourth day, it should be the time for the Nine Palace faction to enter the territory. On this day, as soon as dawn arrived, Qin Wushuang opened his eyes from his meditation. Bao Bao jumped down from a tree branch. Boss Wushuang, are the people of the Nine Palace coming today? According to my calculations, it should be in these 2 days. Even if it's not today, it will be tomorrow. At this moment, the purple flame electric beast who was listening from afar suddenly jumped up and scuttled over. They're coming. I heard the slight vibration of the ley lines. This is a large group of elite warriors on their way, and they're not suppressing their spiritual qi and are traveling at a fast speed. Instantly, all the blood in Qin Wushuang's body heated up. How far? About 200 miles. The sensing range of a perfect stage warrior was 300 miles. Thus, if someone was traveling without suppressing their spiritual qi, they would not be able to escape the surveillance. Okay, Bao Bao, go inform the head palace master and the others. Then, they will come and prepare for battle. The game has started. Bao Bao, it's all up to you. Bao Bao said excitedly. No problem. I promise to complete the mission. Bao Bao ran towards Zhuobuchuan and the others at a fast speed. There were less than 20 miles between the two groups of ambushers. It was extremely convenient for them to coordinate with each other. After a moment, Bao Bao had finished informing and returned quickly. The purple flame electric beast said, about 100 miles more. Qin Wushuang nodded. Bao Bao, get ready. Bao Bao nodded happily. Okay, I will hide at the edge of the cliff and suppress my spiritual qi. I will only attack the people at the back of the team. That's right, one hit for sure. One hit for sure. Bao Bao made a gesture of victory. Then, he jumped and scuttled toward the top of the cliff. This cliff was more than 10,000 meters high and was extremely dangerous. However, Bao Bao moved up and down at a fast speed as if he was walking on flat ground. In the blink of an eye, 15 elite warriors of the Nine Palace arrived at the edge of the cliff with 6 advanced stage spiritual beasts. Suddenly, Zhuotianzi made a hand gesture. Hold on. P.S. I would like to recommend a new book by Galactic Warrior called Heavenly Killing Star Demon. Meteor, after being struck by the purple lightning, purple lines emerged from the center of his palm. He traveled through an unknown time and space. Try to see how Meteor, with the purple pot as his foundation, traveled unhindered across the 2 worlds of life and death. He conquered the celestial and demonic heavens, killed the immortals and devils, and proved his Tao. Book number 1801348. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 354. Zhaoheng came up and asked, Headswell, what's wrong? Zhuotianzi said, that cliff road is within the Great Luo Empire, right? Of course. Zhaoheng knew since he had been here once. He nodded. That's right. Don't be in a rush. Send 2 spiritual beasts to explore the road and clear the obstacles. We don't want any ambushes along the way. Zhuotianzi instructed with extreme caution. The elder in charge of the spiritual beasts nodded and patted the 2 spiritual beasts. Immediately, they scurried out and searched along the cliff road. These spiritual beasts were extremely meticulous, as they did not even let go of the edge of the cliff. Only, regardless of how sensitive these spiritual beasts were, they would never have thought that the ambush was not on the cliff road, but under the cliff. As for Bao Bao, he was hiding in the dark and could not be caught by the advanced stage spiritual beasts. The 2 spiritual beasts only alerted them when they reached the end of the road. They indicated that there were no threats along the way. Zhaoheng laughed. Headswa, you are indeed careful with your calculations. Only, I am afraid that the Stargaze Palace is waiting at their door. How could they have the guts to ambush us along the way? I rather hope that they would ambush us. It would be easier to deal with them if they lure us out. Only, with their strength, how could they be qualified to ambush us? Although that's the case, it's never wrong to be careful. Although there are no ambushes here, it does not mean that the Stargaze Palace will not ambush us. In the art of military strategy, we must consider all possibilities. After Zhuetianzi had finished speaking, he took the lead. Let's go. Zhao Heng and Dao Haidang exchanged a glance, and both of them became alert. Since Heads was being so cautious, how could they let down their guard? With the three heads leading the way, the team moved forward slowly. After passing through this cliff road, they did not move fast. This was common sense. If they moved too fast, it would be easier to get ambushed. And when they were ambushed, they would not react. Thus, when passing through this place, they did not seek speed, but stability. Suddenly, Zhuetianzi stopped, and a trace of surprise emerged from his eyes. Then he shouted in a low voice, "Everyone be careful. Something is wrong." As soon as he had finished speaking, a miserable cry emerged from behind. Ah! This scream was extremely sharp and sudden. It was almost connected to Zhuetianzi's words one after another. One of the elders at the advanced stage had a hole in his chest, as if he had been pierced by some sharp weapon. Blood dripped from the hole, and his dantian had been swallowed. This dismal scene caused the hair on the other people's bodies to stand on end. These people had matured through endless slaughter. Which one of them didn't have hundreds of lives on their hands? But seeing such a bloody and terrifying scene, his heart still raced. This unforeseen event happened too quickly. He didn't even have time to react before he saw his companion fall to the ground and die. Zhuetianzi quickly leaped over and caught the corpse. After looking at it for a moment, his expression turned serious. "Who among you saw clearly what happened?" "We were hurrying on our way when we saw Ninth Elder's body convulse, and then this happened. It was as if a beam of light had drilled into the ground. It's too fast." Zhuetianzi sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at the ground of the cliff. The cliff road was full of hard rocks. It was not easy to walk on the ground in such a place. Since the light had disappeared in a flash, for sure, it was not something an elite warrior from the human countries could do. For humans, even if they were at the perfect stage, they would not have such rapid movements and such monstrous methods to travel underground. Could it be a spiritual beast? Zhuetianzi frowned slightly and asked Zhao Heng, "Assistant Leader Zhao, did you see any powerful spiritual beasts when you arrived at the Stargaze Palace?" Zhao Heng shook his head. From beginning to end, there were only 4 palace masters and a young man. How could there be any other spiritual beasts? Zhuetianzi frowned lightly. "That's strange. Could it be the Stargaze Palace has other spiritual beasts?" However, Zhao Heng said, "The Stargaze Palace has always been the weakest among the 3 Eastern empires in terms of training spiritual beasts. Even the archaic mystery sect does not have many advanced stage spiritual beasts. Even if the Stargaze Palace had one, they could not have killed Ninth Elder instantly." Zhuetianzi was also confused. He looked down at the cliff and revealed a thoughtful expression. He said in a low voice, "Could it be a spiritual beast training under this cliff?" Suddenly, Dao Haidang said, "Head Palace Master, this spiritual beast avoided the 3 perfect stage and attacked the group of elders behind us. It should be restraining its fear of us. How about we reorganize our team? Headswell will lead the way, and Assistant Leader Zhao, and I will cover the rear. How about it?" Zhuetianzi nodded. "Okay, let's talk about it after we pass this cliff road. This place is eerie and sinister. We cannot ignore it." Although he appeared calm on the surface, he felt somewhat unlucky inwardly. Before they had achieved their goal, an advanced stage elder had died. For the 9 Palace faction, this was a huge blow. Regardless of strength or morale, it was a major setback. Immediately, he encouraged them, "Don't be depressed. The Stargaze Palace does not have the skill to train such powerful spiritual beasts. For sure, this was an accident. We will deal with it after we pass this cliff road." After they had walked a few steps, suddenly, Zhuetianzi said, "Let's shorten the distance between each other to prevent enemies from sneak attacks." This cliff road was not very long. However, it would take some time to walk. As Zhua Tianxi spoke, suddenly a wild howl emerged from the bottom of the cliff. Roar! This howl shook the forest, and the entire cliff seemed to tremble. When Zhua Tianxi heard this howl, he said, "Everyone stay calm. This spiritual beast is warning us to leave its territory." Before Zhua Tianxi had finished speaking, another roar howl emerged from the valley again. It was even more ferocious than the previous howl. Of course, Qin Wushuang had instructed him to let the purple flame electric beast suppress his spiritual qi. This howl would make the Nine Palace faction suspicious. Most importantly, this howl had attracted the attention of the Nine Palace faction and created some space for Bao Bao. Zhua Tianxi's expression changed slightly. He walked to the edge of the cliff and spread out his spiritual qi. He used his spiritual perception to explore the bottom of the cliff. This move was also a warning to that spiritual beast to not act recklessly. It was a form of intimidation. Just as Zhua Tianxi was initiating his spiritual qi, another light howl emerged from behind him. Boom! Another elder fell to the ground with a loud bang, and blood flowed everywhere. This time, his chest was still cut open, and his entire dantian seemed to have been taken away by something. Shocked and furious, Zhua Tianxi turned back to check. This time, he could not suppress the anger in his eyes. If the first attack was a sneak attack, it could be forgiven. However, this time, when everyone was focused, the sneak attack had succeeded. This made him extremely furious. This was a direct threat to Zhua Tianxi. They had killed 2 advanced stage elders in front of his eyes. Zhua Tianxi wiped the elder's eyes that had not been closed. "Seventh elder, I swear, I will let you die in peace." After he had finished speaking, he gave a long howl to the sky and initiated the spiritual qi from his entire body. Instantly, the entire Eagle Strike cliff echoed with his howl. It was as if the heavenly thunder had attracted the fire of the earth. At Zhua Tianxi's level, the perfect stage was almost at the peak. He was only waiting to break into the void martial stage. Thus, with this howl, even the heavens and the earth seemed to shrink. The entire cliff seemed to shake violently as the mountain swayed and stone fragments flew everywhere. Assistant leaders Zhao and Dao cover everyone to leave this cliff road. Apparently, Zhua Tianxi was enraged. While he instructed, he pulled out a blood-colored battle blade from his hand. He waved his hand. With the flash of the blade, 3 rays of light congealed into the soul of the blade and slashed at the mountain road. The rocky path of the mountain path was like tofu, easily cleaving open deep ravines one after another. These gullies were more than a meter deep. Along the way, Zhua Tianxi kept slashing with the blade. Along the way, he had slashed open gullies one after another. Under his blade moves, Bao Bao did not dare to advance recklessly. He scuttled to the bottom of the cliff and spoke a few words to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang nodded. "Okay, go inform the head palace master and my teacher that the ambush at the cliff road is over. Move to the next location." Bao Bao accepted the order happily. A moment ago, he had devoured the dantian of 2 advanced stage elders and felt extremely satisfied. He had gained a lot. Finally, they had reached the end of the frightening cliff road. When they arrived at the spacious area, all the people of the Nine Palace let out a long sigh of relief. The cliff was less than 10 miles long, but it was so frightening. Before their departure, who would have expected that 2 elders had died on this 10 miles of mountain road? Zhua Tianxi patrolled the area and ordered, "Keep moving forward. After 100 miles, pick a spacious area and set up camp." After experiencing this unforeseen event, there was a subtle change in the mentality of the team. Their previous determination to win had clearly weakened. Each of them realized that this Stargaze Palace was a tough bone and not as easy to chew as they had imagined. Although Zhua Tianxi was somewhat anxious, he did not act out. He knew that at this moment, it was normal for everyone to have some mental fluctuations. To make up for the situation, they could only kill the enemy. They could only go to the Stargaze Palace and use the life of the palace master as a sacrifice to restore their morale. Dao Haitang walked before Zhua Tianxi. "Heads with this matter is somewhat strange. I speculated that there should be two spiritual beasts. Or else, how could they be roaring at the bottom of the cliff and injuring people on the mountain road in the next moment? So Tianzi nodded. Could it be those male and female spiritual beasts? At this moment, suddenly, Zhao Heng shouted lightly, "Who's there?" From the side of the forest, a wave of extremely cold laughter emerged. It flashed by like the wind. Zhao Heng pulled out his golden spear and patted an advanced stage spiritual beast. "Let's go and take a look." One man and one beast was about to chase after them. However, Zhuo Tianzi said, "Assistant Head Zhao, hold on." Zhao Heng turned around with surprise. "Head Zhuo, there are enemies. Are we not going to chase?" Zhuo Tianzi shook his head with a cold expression. "No." Zhao Heng was extremely confused. "Why not? This is the Great Luo Empire, not the Sky Travel Empire or the Nine Raven Empire. There is one more chapter. I will give it to you before 22 p.m. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.